were worth literally less than cents in a dollar. So I think the very first transaction, someone put up a post, maybe on Reddit or one of them 4chan or one of them things, asking would anyone sell. I think did it say anything or was it specifically a pizza for Bitcoin? And one fella in New York took up the offer and he sold two pizza. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, for something like 10,000 Bitcoin. That's because there was only a few what were known as cyberpunks mining Bitcoin, which you could do on a graphics card on a computer then, because the hash rate wasn't very hard. So you were rewarded with a block every 10 minutes. So if there was only a few on it, they were all getting every leaving it on all night and probably waking up with what's now worth millions, but was only worth literally cents then, you know. So the very first transaction happened, I'm not sure what year, probably 2009 or 10, for two pizzas. Another anecdote is Lily Allen was asked to do a gig, I think for 9,000 Bitcoin, but she didn't have a clue what she was offered, so she turned it down. Thanks be to fuck. And so it then grew. I suppose the first time I became aware of it was when I was listening to Max Kaiser one day. So I used to listen to him more for financial advice, where he talked a lot about gold and silver. And then all of a sudden he became, every second show or every third show seemed to mention Bitcoin, and then it really started taking off. That was around, probably around 2013, when the only really main exchange in the world was a company called MT Gox based in Tokyo, and I think 80% of all the world's Bitcoins was going through it, because people, to buy Bitcoins, you have to go through an exchange, which is you lodge your money in the exchange, and then you're able to buy at whatever the price is, whatever you want, the amount of Bitcoin. But when you do it on that, you then can withdraw it to what's called your cold wallet, which is it used to be any type of hard drive, but now they're very specific storage devices, which are downloaded from the internet, from the blockchain, but then that you're disconnected it, so you can't be hacked, because it's still possible to hack a wallet or even an exchange if they get into the exchange, but the Bitcoin protocol can't be hacked, because the miners would just reject it if it's seen anything false on the ledgers. So I'm just going by the just on the hacking thing there. So around 2014, because I remember it well, everything started going awry with Mount Gox, and seemingly someone had found a vulnerability in the storage of Mount Gox, and supposedly was taking it out while they didn't know. But I think it's an inside job. It just couldn't be. But there was something like 800,000 Bitcoin stolen. Then the following night, because the blockchain is open, which I'll explain in a minute, the following night, someone or lots of people noticed something like 200,000 Bitcoin being transferred out of a Mt. Gox wallet into a different wallet. And the owner of it, Mark Carpels, claimed he just happened to find them in a wallet while he was wondering what was going on about the hack. And so there's still a bankruptcy going on about that particular 200,000 Bitcoin, which is probably worth billions now as it stands. The whole Bitcoin protocol, all the transactions on Bitcoin are totally open. You can't really hide it on Bitcoin. So if you just say the pipeline hack last week, there was something very odd about it where they paid them in Bitcoin, a bit like the HSE hack, and it was paid into a Coinbase wallet, which doesn't make sense because no hacker would be that stupid. So it's max of an inside job or an FBI sting or something like that anyway. But on the Bitcoin protocol, everything is visible to everyone that wants to look at it. So if you transferred, just say even a few Satoshi to me, it's visible and it can be tracked and traced, and they'll know where that wallet is. They mightn't be able to get into the wallet. They'll never be able to get into the wallet, but they'll know if it's moving again. So sometimes you get these things where the FBI, like Silk Road and all, they seize the machines with the wallets on, so they're that's because it's an open coin. It's not a privacy coin, which Gavin will get into later. But anyway, since that, everyone probably thought around 2014 with that hack that it'd be doomed, but it wasn't. People it just kept growing. And around 2014, when Mt. Gox went down, I think it was at $400. And then in 2017, there was a huge surge in Bitcoin interest, and it hit an all-time high of about $19,000. And then over the next 2 years went down probably as low as $3,500 again. And then when the whole pandemic thing hit off and the stock market crashed, so did Bitcoin, went down to about 6 after being stable for a year or so, around 10. And then all of a sudden last summer, when the stock market started rising again, because probably people panicking over fiat currency, Bitcoin increased up to sixfold from what it had been 6 months earlier. So I think it hit an all-time high of about $64,000 at the beginning of this year, I think, around February or so. And I think this evening it's around 37. It was about 40 earlier on today, but it's down to $37,000 per Bitcoin. So another thing now about Bitcoin is, compared to fiat currency, is they can print as much fiat currency as they want. Fiat means let it be, just at will, whereas there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Probably 18 million have already been mined into existence. So it gets harder and harder. And the whole idea is, as it gets harder, the price will rise so that it's profitable for the miners to mine them. So I think there's about 3 million to go, and I'm not sure what date. Is it 2040 or something, the very last block, or is it 2140 maybe, or something like that? It just gets harder and harder to mine it. So the price has gone right up. So anyone like that held on to their stuff they mined 7 or 8 years ago is a multi-millionaire, up into the hundreds of millions probably. I think there's something like 100,000 Bitcoin millionaires now that's just Bitcoin, not crypto, in the world. So around 2015, other coins started to appear. Now, I think the first one was Litecoin, which was around 2014, 13 or 14. They sold themselves on that there would only be about 80 million ever produced of Litecoin. It was very similar to the Bitcoin, only the transaction times were about 2 minutes, whereas the transaction time on Bitcoin, because it has to go through all the miners and ledgers, it lasts for about 10 minutes or maybe more. It can take up to an hour before it goes from one wallet to the other. When a Bitcoin is volatile, that can mean a lot. So you're waiting for it to come through, and you might have sold or bought at a certain price, but you can't do anything with it until it gets through to you. Whereas on an exchange, you're not actually dealing with your Bitcoin. It's like a virtual balance of your account. So you can do it fairly instantaneous there. but a lot of people don't like leaving it on exchanges, which is known as a hot wallet, really. You know, you don't actually have it until you have it. So then around 2015 came Ethereum, which is slightly different, or a lot different. So I think there's about, at the time, there was 72 million Ethereum just released. The miners didn't have to mine them. They were just released by the creators. And over time, they do mine them. But Ethereum is different, that you can write literally contracts on them for, you can have fungible kinds tokens or non-fungible tokens. A bit intricate to talk about, but now it's moving over to proof of stake rather than proof of work, which is mining, because it's to do with getting the miners to actually verify these smart contracts, which would put all this paperwork for real contracts for anything. So you could be selling a company in through Ethereum, or shares in a company, or anything like that. So that's how it stands. That's just a brief history. Probably doesn't educate anyone that doesn't know. But the thing about Bitcoin, which I find people, they're getting into the altcoins because they feel they need to own one or two of a small coin, or 10, because they can't own a full Bitcoin, which doesn't make any sense, because there's 8 decimal points in one Bitcoin, and it's broken down to the very smallest denomination is a Satoshi, which is the 8 decimal points. So if Bitcoin went up to $10 million per Bitcoin, one Satoshi would be worth $1. So it's all relative to what it is, really. And the days of just someone going in and buying one, unless they're a multimillionaire, is long gone. So that's why people only buy the dollar amount in Bitcoin, and they don't really know probably exactly how much, like Bitcoin. It could be 0.00015 of a Bitcoin, but they go by the value in dollar. So hopefully that's a brief account of Bitcoin. Now, if Gavin wants to just explain about the altcoins, which are, a lot of people probably would have heard about, Doge, Monero, Chainlink, all these other coins. I'll just hand it over to Gavin.
Hello guys, welcome. I am going to just briefly go over my quick introduction to cryptocurrencies. Anyway, I know Gobin's after hitting most of the nails on the head there. Basically, cryptocurrencies can be referred to as digital assets or cryptocurrencies, and the regulatory kind of thing is that's kind of where they're heading, because they didn't want competition. They're not issued by central banks. They're more kind of leaning towards them being an exchange, calling them exchange tokens of exchange tokens, and they're transferred and stored and traded electronically. So, and unlike fiat currency, their total can be capped at a certain level, like what Golden was saying there with Bitcoin, and others can have far more quantity. There could be billions of tokens in circulation, and they will never go into become high value tokens at all. They're just there to link transactions, like a Swift kind of do at the minute. They're used to just make transactions faster and stuff like that. But some of the altcoins that are there's thousands of cryptocurrencies at the moment, and a lot of them would be just shit coins, is what it's the slang of what people call them that are in the industry. So you can imagine what that means. They have no utility. So like there's coins there now that it's not about them being a currency. They actually perform a function. Like there's certain blockchains now that are running video sharing sites, because as you all know, there's a lot of censorship stuff going on now. So there's um, companies like Odyssey. You might have heard of them. Some of you probably watch videos on them, but you mightn't have been aware that that's completely on the blockchain, and that can't be hacked and that can't be taken down, and it's distributed. Like there's all, like Goban said there can be different nodes or proofs all over in different countries on personal computers or on smartphones, and they're all working together to keep those things on the internet and the system working. But what else did you want me to go through? The different altcoins and whatever else. I had a question earlier from one of our other admins, and I think it's really good. Maybe I'll just go through this because it'll cover a lot of the things you all need to know. All of these things are worked on what's called a ledger. So years ago in banks, they would have leggers just to keep note of account for financial transactions or IOUs or whatever else. All the blockchain is an electronic ledger. And once it's open, anyone can see that ledger once it's not a private ledger. So that's why it can't be manipulated or hacked or anyone sticking a number here and there, because there's so many different nodes or computers or whatever looking at it all the time that it just can't be manipulated because it'd be flagged straight away. So that's kind of the idea. There's different blocks and they can't be manipulated because they're distributed across all the network. But so basically that's what a ledger is, and that's what in terms of the blockchain what it is. The difference between Bitcoin and say the altcoins and whatever else that we have going now in the cryptocurrency market and what the central banks are trying to introduce is worlds apart. The central bank digital currencies is programmable money, which basically means they can see where that money goes. Where before the Fed and them in the US would print money and they give it to the big bankers and it's supposedly meant to trickle down to the real world economy. It never kind of gets there. Now they will have the power to direct that currency that goes into your pocket wherever they want in the economy, which is like a micromanaging the economy. So that's the power that's going to give to central banks. And the debate there now at the minute is really whether, will they allow the big banks to survive? That's because they don't need them anymore. Any financial bank outside of a central bank now is surplus to requirements. Absolutely every one of them. Because if they introduce their digital coin, the rest of them, they don't actually need them. But now they can keep them in the system because we don't know about cronyism, what's going to go on. They can keep them in the system, as in they would then allow them to do what they've always done. But you see, in the future, data is value, and they don't want anyone controlling the data. You can imagine the whole country using a token that can be monitored. So imagine the money, like what Facebook is doing at the minute, and they're selling all your personal data for advertisements and this, that, and the other. The monetary value now of actually our data concerning our day-to-day transactions is massive, and it can also be it could be a national security issue that another country would know, like what another citizenry is spending all their money on or whatever else. That's a big thing that's coming up now with it as well. That's kind of going off topic a bit, but the answer to that question is that's the difference between central bank digital currencies and the private ones that are going around now, is that the central bank will be able to monitor exactly where every single digital dollar or digital euro goes from start to finish. And they can put conditions on that because it's completely programmable. So they can have a time frame as to how long you can hold that before it disappears, like a fuse, out of your bank account without your say. Or if you were on social welfare or basic income rent like that, you're at their mercy as to them turning off your money's ability to buy in tobacco, or them turning off your digital money's ability to buy alcohol. Or maybe they just feel like, you can't buy alcohol to excess, or they feel, you can see where this is going. Whatever they feel is right for you and where you spend your money. And that's worst case scenario, that they only do it to people on social welfare. And we all know that they're pushing for basic incomes, and they're trying to, they're predicting there maybe being 40% unemployed in the future. like that would be normal with the technologies that they're trying to bring in. So it's completely nightmarish and dystopian when you look at it like that. So the other side of the digital currency thing is that there is these private ones that the governments wouldn't have complete control over, and that was a big draw to them from the very beginning. And that was supposedly, we don't, that was one of the founders' kind of story as to where they came from, and their whole purpose for setting up Bitcoin and digital currencies was to kind of take some power away from the fiat banking cartels. The thing is, at the moment is the USA, the Fed are discussing a digital dollar. There is a Chinese version, a digital yuan, and Christine Lagarde from the IMF had said, or the European Union, whichever one, sorry, they're working on a digital euro. It should be rolled out within the next 5 years. We will have digital euro here in Ireland. And what that means is they will phase out paper money and ATM machines and this, that, and the other. And everyone will have to have what was similar to what they were pushing, a digital wallet, which was similar to the vaccine passports they're trying to bring in, which is with the QR codes and the blockchain technology in it. And then you will be paid your social welfare or your wages or whatever straight into that app. And all your transactions at the point of sales in the shops will be with the QR codes or with, contactless payments, but it will all be through that digital money. Everyone says we already had digital money, so didn't we send payments on computers before? No, that was just like a number on a computer. That, it wasn't programmable and it wasn't on a blockchain. They were just, just a unit. So we didn't have digital money. It's the best way to describe digital central bank digital currency is programmable money, and whatever conditions they want to program into that, they can. I heard talk of them, it gets really dystopian as well, because it's, the in businesses can be looked after, or the good businesses, or the businesses that they want to encourage can look after. Like, say, John Brown down the road has 20 Centras, and he's whinging, he's not getting enough money, his tills are lower and whatever else, and he's really in with the government and he votes the right way and he doesn't, stir the pot. And then certain amount of maybe the basic income within that area can only be spent within his business or within his shop. Like, this is the micromanagement of the economy that they will the power that they will have with a digital currency system. So it's just, there's loads of ways of thinking about it, and it's very deep. And the blockchain technology is part of what Klaus Schwab and them termed this fourth industrial revolution, and it's a big part of it. And it's just to be abreast of it. I think I've been saying it for a long time into groups and that, and I hate to be dragged kicking and screaming into the world of digital currency by the government, like with this order from chaos kind of thing, where there's a crisis, and then it's, you have to download this app and you have to accept the strings that are attached to it. So just move on from that there. That's the difference between Bitcoin and that's the difference between private cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies. What's the difference between a hot wallet on an exchange and a cold wallet that you own yourself? On an exchange, your money is you're trusting that business with your money. It's the same as you having a bank in the town and your money's in that bank. Well, it's not really the same. That's maybe a bit misleading, but because the bank is guaranteed by the government up to 100,000 on your deposits, that's why it's different. But it's a similar principle, as in, you're not custodian of your own money. Like, they have your money there, you are relying in trust that they won't go under and that they will have your money there when you need it. So a cold wallet that you own yourself is what Goban said. It's nearly taken off the internet. That's yours. They're locked in your private wallet. You can buy different devices called ledgers. And basically your money is nearly taken, your cryptocurrencies are taken off chain practically, and it can't be seized by anybody. And even if you left those on chain or whatever else, once you have your own custodial wallet, you can access that anywhere with your code and with your pass key. So you don't necessarily have to have it tucked away in a USB drive somewhere. Once that is taken off the exchange, it's like you taking your money out of the bank, except think about this as a virtual world bank. So you've taken your money out of the bank and your money is out of the bank. It's safe, but as long as you have your keys to access that money. it's safe. Your cryptos, it's safe. If you forget the key, it's gone forever. There's no possible way it can ever be retraced. It's just left there on the blockchain. There's lots of Bitcoin left there, criminals and whatever else, or people. I've often heard stories of people who didn't realize what they would be worth, or they were paid maybe for doing some programming work back 10 years ago in Bitcoin, and they didn't bother with them, and they just lost the hard drives that they were on, and now they're worth what, 50, 60 million or whatever. They can never be got back. So that's basically the difference between having your hot wallet on an exchange and having your own wallet. It doesn't physically have to be taken off the internet or on a pen drive, or you could, once that is off their exchange, it's out of the bank. You know what I mean? Once you have that code and you download whatever access point you had been using from any device anywhere in the world, and you put your code in, you have access to that cryptocurrency. So that's that covered. Stable coins. Stable coins are supposedly pegged to fiat currency value. So you've got Tether, you've got USDC, you've got I'm trying to think of another. There's not a whole lot of them. Most of them are pegged to the US dollar, Tether being the biggest. There's question marks around Tether as to whether what is pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. It's one of the biggest cryptocurrencies out there, and it provides massive liquidity to the whole. It's nearly integral to the whole cryptocurrency market at this stage, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, because in 2008, when the boom was going on, when there was any fear, because in markets you have fear and greed, and when fear comes into the market, people sell. And back in 2018, we didn't have stable coins, the likes of Tether. So the money was completely just taken out of the cryptocurrency market, and cryptos just fell. A lot of crypto fell flat in their face. And it took them 2, 3, 4 years to recover until we started picking into the latest bull market. That's why we're talking about now, because everyone's interested when things are going up. So it's a cycle, and normally 3 to 4 year cycles. We're in the middle of a bull market at the minute, and to be honest, we could be approaching the end of it. It's up in the air at the moment, what's going on with it. But the difference between 2018 and this year is the likes of stable coins like Tether. So, example, today I had money in crypto the last few months, and it was up at a value where I should have, in my mind, should have sold. I was speculating. My coins had gone from €600 up to 3,500, and there was a 40% drop or something there maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So my coins went down to about 1,500, and I'm still in a profit. But as you can see, from 3,500 down to 1,500, and the market's been very choppy and up and down since that, maybe in the last 4 weeks. So it hasn't gone back to its blistering highs of 3,500. So I've been watching it. It's up and down. And to be honest, today I switched all my money's in Tether right now. That's where it is, because I was looking at it today. I'm speculating. I speculated on one last week, and it didn't produce.
Kevin's gone off air there for a second.
Sorry there, lad. I got off there for a second. Yeah, so I had switched my tokens over to Tether there recently. They're still on the chain, but they're in Tether because I wasn't happy with the one I had used. I was hoping that I had put one in that was on the way up, and it stagnated, and I was a bit nervous of the market. So my tokens are currently in Tether, and that's fine. I'm waiting for an opportunity, and I'll go back in. Are we heading into a bull or bear market or both? That was the question we were just talking about there. We've been in a bull market for over a year and a half. A lot of you might have heard about Elon Musk and his tweets and his Dogecoin, and he's manipulating the market. And also Donald Trump came out last week and he said, he's the dollar man, nationalist. So it's still very volatile in that sense if the likes of Elon Musk can send out a tweet and manipulate the market. Will Bitcoin become obsolete? No, not in my opinion. It won't. Not while the fiat banking system is in such a mess, and not when there's so much question marks over privacy, and not when we're moving into a digital age. And I think everyone would, even the most wealthiest Klaus Schwabs in the back of their nightmarish mind, must want to protect their wealth. And in a digital age, how are you going to do that with governments and whatever else being so volatile and this, that, and the other? So no, I don't think Bitcoin will become obsolete. Um, Safe altcoins that aren't Bitcoin, very safe, safe and altcoins, safe and any cryptocurrency. In the one sentence, you have to be wary. Safe, you have to manage your expectations. You don't put in any money that you're not prepared to that will completely vanish, and you do your complete another research, and you would spread your money if you were going to over maybe to be very safe over the top 5 cryptocurrencies in the world, just to dip your toes in that you're a novice, complete novice, you're completely adverse to risk. But having said that, we are at the top of a bull market, and if you can see Bitcoin at 30,000 at the beginning of this bull market, it was 7,000. Okay, so if you put €500 into that now, and it decided to go back down to where it was 2 years ago, you will have lost half your money. So these are the things you need to take in mind and just be concerned about. And also they do a thing, it's called dollar cost averaging. So if you were decided tonight, first time ever, to buy crypto and you had 5,000 you were going to put in, you would not be putting all that in tonight. That would be a ridiculous thing to do. You would, if you decided you wanted to buy Bitcoin, for example, you would, with your 10,000, you might put 100 in tonight. And then maybe next week, well, maybe 100's a bit low, but you would dollar cost averaging is you were just buying in pretty consistently, maybe weekly, with a small sum. And that means over time, you've got into the market at multiple different, you're not interested in what the price of Bitcoin is when you are dollar cost averaging, you couldn't give a shite. You're literally just buying in at all different prices. And over time, you will have got a good average price. You've averaged into your position in Bitcoin. And that's how you would do that safely. I know I said 10,000 there. That goes to the same if you were just going in with 500. You would go, 20 quid, maybe, every 2 or 3 days, even. If you wanted to go with the smaller amounts, maybe you had 100, maybe you put 20 quid in every second day until you had your 100 in, or maybe every week, you know what I mean, whatever you felt comfortable with. But your stable coins, literally, mine is now changed into a Tether, the stable coin. It's sitting in my wallet online, and I'm ready to jump into one when I decide I want to. If I wanted to hold that 1,500 quid there as a long-term savings, I can stake that on the platform and get interest on that. But 8% on 1,500 isn't a lot over a year, and you don't really have control of it. I'm not going to go into that now. So we'll be safe. So your safest picks will be the top 5 altcoins. You're absolutely nearly zero risk unless the whole, like as in a bank, failed. That's what I mean by near zero risk. Your risk is if the whole Tether collapsed as a company, or you're talking about, it's highly unlikely scenarios. So if you did want to just start to edge into cryptocurrency and stable coins, knowing that the governments are heading that direction and that they could potentially order from chaos you into having to accept some wallet or whatever they tell you to download to access your money in a crisis, or even just as they phase out cash, just to be aware of the technology, to know how to work it, and to see what other alternatives are available is why you could get into it now. It's not about speculating and trying to make huge amounts of money. That can happen for you. And I'd be singing that tune a little bit more if we were a year and a half ago. We're not there now. And we have to see what we're all wondering, what way it's going to go. But that doesn't take out the value of getting into it. And if you do have savings or whatever else, and you wanted to, as I said, go into one of the, it really is mind blowing. What they're calling now is decentralized finance, which really means that you are your own bank, and these platforms and whatever else now that you don't need a bank. It's unbelievable, some of the stuff that they're coming out with, and the interest rates they pay on your savings and stuff like that. It's just, you just wouldn't see it in any brick and mortar bank. They can't do it. So you could literally start saving in there now and have your dollars in that Tether or in one of the other stable coins that don't fluctuate in value, and you can have them on those platforms earning you up to 18% interest on your fiat backed crypto. And there's also a cryptocurrency called Pax Gold, and it is backed 1-to-1 by gold. So you're just getting the value of gold for your cryptos. You can just buy 50, 20 quid at a time, and it's pegged to the price of gold and backed by physical gold held in one of the Credit Suisse, one of them places. So there's loads of different things you can do with it. That you're not on an open market risking your money fluctuating and dropping in value. You're in crypto, but you're using it backed by gold or backed by fiat currency that doesn't fluctuate in value. So you know what I mean? A lot of people are doing that now, and I'm not going into right now there's loads of benefits to it. What are all the, yeah. To put money into crypto, you basically have to do the KYC. If any you're on Cash App or what's the other one, Revolut, or any of them, it's pretty similar to that. And that's pretty much all I want to say there. But back to Goldman there, and we might take questions in a bit.
Yeah, there's one question that comes up when people say now is so they go into an exchange, just say like last March, they put in, say, their savings, just say they put in a few thousand and it's multiplied by, say, 5. So just say they have 10,000 now and they take it out. Now you take it out of the exchange will then transfer it back to your bank. It mightn't do it all in the one go, so you might be only able to take out, say, a couple of grand every 2 weeks or so. Different exchanges have different rates, but then people ask about the tax implications. So the tax implication is it's capital gains tax on what you earned, and it's the 33% here on what you earned. I heard a few stories. One fella seemingly took out 50,000, and I asked him, did the taxman come after you? No, I just took it out. I heard nothing from them. Another fella that I know of, I don't know this fella, took it out, but the bank actually now it was quite more than the 50,000. This fella got into Ethereum at the very start. He got in at 11 cent. So he took it out, but the bank actually stopped 33% and informed the revenue. So I'm not quite sure. Like anything, you're meant to declare your tax and what you made your money on. So I think it's up to the individual, not the bank, to stop it. You can take your chances. But I was watching a fella called Michael Saylor. He owns a big hedge fund that started investing heavily into crypto. And he's one of the biggest, his hedge fund is one of the biggest owners of crypto in the last few years, apart from the whales, as they called them. These are the fellas that got in early, stored in their devices, and are fabulously wealthy now. And some of them are only probably still in their mid-20s. They were doing it as teenagers. But his philosophy is never sell your Bitcoin, because while it's in a digital asset, it's not taxable at the minute. So if you had, just say, 100,000 in Bitcoin and took it out, well, then you're going to pay 33, just say, take away your initial investment, you're going to pay 33 grand in tax, which is not nice if you think you're sitting on 100. So his idea is, and a lot of them more on the Ethereum network, is as Gavin was saying, you can earn interest on your money. You can earn interest. You could call on Ethereum. You could do what's called staking. So you'd give your Ethereum to a staking pool, and they pay you, I think it's 6% interest on your Ethereum. Otherwise, it'd be just sitting in your cold wallet on the top drawer of your locker, you know what I mean? And that's a way of making money off it. But another way is, there's a few of them now are offering loans, cash loans, and they take your Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or whatever you have as a collateral against the cash loan. And once you have a loan, you're not paying tax on it because you have to pay it back. You pay interest on it. But if your cryptocurrency is appreciating, you're in a win-win situation. So you're paying the interest with the rise in that particular coin. And I think on average, over the last 10 years, the likes of Bitcoin has rose 200% per year on an average. Some years it's gone nearly 1,000%. I think last year was 500%. So other years it'll drop, but not too many. Like, so I think there's a figure well into the 90% of anyone that ever got into cryptocurrency has made money. There's only 1 in 20, say, or less even, that lost everything. Maybe because they went into as Gavin says, one of the shit kinds, speculating that they'd make vast fortunes. I think them days are probably gone for the fellas buying in to Bitcoin at $10 and holding them. They're all living on their yachts and what have you now. But that's the taxation as it stands. Now, I did see something that the Treasury or the SEC or some of them in America were looking at wanting people to pay tax on their Bitcoins just for having them in an exchange. Or they'd follow them and say, right, we believe you took out so many thousands in Bitcoin where you owe this on it, even though they haven't realized in fiat currency. So I think that covers the tax implications. But if you do take it out and change it back to cash, if the taxman catches up with you, he'll hit you with the capital gains on it. I'm not sure, do they bother on smaller amounts, but I'd say if it's in the thousands.
Go on. They're beginning to look at it more. Like I was looking at an article there on RT, I think it was last week. The central bank and that are beginning to take more of an interest in it, like all central banks are, now that they're getting abreast of the new digital economy and the new the central bank digital currencies. And just to say what you were saying there, that's a big thing. And I'm with that crypto.com crowd, and they have it all in house. And the government, for me, like, I'm pricking around there, I have no money. Do you know what I mean? For anyone who has money, the benefits of it can be astounding. Like with the debit card there, for example, you can get at a minimum 3% back on all your purchases in crypto, and upwards if you had the big investment to buy the higher tier card, you can get up to 8% back on all your purchases. Like, imagine, take 8% off your life bills, or 3% even off everything you buy. That's massive. And also the tax thing is massive, because exactly what he said there, if this time last year, if I had known what I know now, and I had, like Govan said there, I was buying and selling and trying to be a hero, buying in and out, and I didn't know what I was doing. I've been following the crypto scene for years. I knew there was money in it, like what Govan said there, Max Kaiser. I was looking at 2010. I remember looking at Bitcoin when they were, I think, $8. I seen them, and they were on about that Silk Road and all that. If you had, and a lot of people have made 100,000, 200,000 in the last year or two, tax, that's massive. 30% or 40% the government want to take off you on that. That's nearly half. So what you can do now on the platform that I'm on, I can stake that. If I had 100,000, I can just give it to them, and they will give me a loan to match it. Or I give them 50,000. Yeah, it's pretty much a match. And there you go. You pay them back a very small percentage on that over a year. I think you can do them that they don't require. I don't think there's any time limit on when you pay it back. And basically, then you've just got 200,000 profit, and you don't pay that 40% capital gains tax. That's massive loophole. It really is massive. Sorry, Govan, to go back in.
I'm just trying to think. There anything more that we didn't cover there that Mosh had a whole list of.
But I have something else I want to just briefly cover that I didn't, and you didn't touch on, and it's a big craze at the minute, and it's not even a craze. That sounds like it's going to go away. It's beginning to take off. It's the NFT market, which are non-fungible tokens. And the easiest way to describe what an NFT is it's a digital ownership, digital ledger online. And say I was an artist now, the best way to do it is you could turn the Mona Lisa into an NFT. So to sell the Mona Lisa, like, that would ever happen. But if the Louvre wanted to sell the Mona Lisa, they can now, instead of having a paper of ownership, like a title or a deed or whatever, they could create an NFT of that, and that would give legal ownership to that person. Having said that, then the Mona Lisa could be left in the Louvre. Say the security is, we wouldn't have security for the Mona Lisa anywhere else. I just want to own that as, for whatever reason, I'm going to leave it in the Louvre. The Mona Lisa now can be sold while it remains in the Louvre hundreds of times over again. And, like the legal ownership would be held with an NFT. And that can go right down to your car could be sold through NFTs in the future. Artists could, any kind of it don't have to be a Mona Lisa, any kind of an artwork, any kind of music, any kind of film. It's just really taken off. And then you've got the gimmicky. You've got Snoop Dogg making a card with him smoking a reefer. Oh, and that's an NFT, and he's selling them there. Look, gimmicky. I don't recommend buying one, but fair juice to him. Do you know what I mean? He's making a ball of money off simps that are buying his digital picture, and now they have legal ownership to it. Having said that, there's these ridiculous digital pictures going for hundreds of thousands online, but they're just basically it's ownership, title ownership to a digital property or asset. And there's businesses now springing up that are turning land into an NFT, a house into an NFT. So say there's a company now investing in prime real estate. They buy a 5 million house in Dublin. They divert that down into 1,000, 2,000 NFTs, and each one is 500 bucks, 500 euros, whatever price. And it's now that single NFT will give you a return year on year, divide it down to your share in that. So it's opening up massive new industries, and for people who want to invest in property. You can say you have a property portfolio now with $5,000, and you could have property in Miami and all over the world. But that's just different. I'm just trying to give you different examples of what an NFT can do.
It's equivalent to the invention of the banknote, where you could buy a piece of a cow for the exchange of a banknote rather than having to kill the whole cow and that sort of thing. And it's gone into everything now. So I reckon the next few years are going to be absolutely huge in everything, selling of everything. So you'll have the central banks competing against the digital currencies. Now, people, I've heard on this channel and other, they can just turn it off or they could just stop it. Well, they can't actually, because number one, it's impossible to stop the internet. It's possible to stop the World Wide Web for times, but it doesn't work on it. It works on the internet. It's just broadcast there. So there is not much way to stop it. They could make it illegal for exchanges. They just move country. So China and India have tried every sort of way possible to stop crypto, and they haven't succeeded. So if they can't do it, and then another country like Malta is very Bitcoin friendly. So if you had, back to the tax implications, I think if you're a resident there and you've had them for a certain amount of time, you can take your Bitcoin out and spend it there without any tax implications under a certain, like I suppose if you took $1 million out, that hit you with something, all right. But El Salvador, I think it was either El Salvador or Nicaragua, announced there last week that it's a parallel currency now. So if you want to pay your tax or anything in a cryptocurrency, I don't know if it's a crypto or just Bitcoin, but you can turn any crypto into another on an exchange. And there's stuff coming out called atomic swaps now, which will literally make it at lightning speed. So you can change from a Litecoin to a Bitcoin to an Ethereum very quickly. And so you don't have to keep doing it yourself through an exchange, take it out, move it or whatever,
Like that, what you were saying there, I think we touched on earlier about smart contracts and smart swaps. Like now you could have a token like that's on the blockchain and it's pegged to the price of, say you could have it programmed into it that if Bitcoin drops by 15%, your money is automatically switched into Pax Gold. And that happens, you can have predefined conditions. So you could have your money in Tether, US dollar, or well, maybe that's a bad example. Bitcoin's a good example between even Tether and Bitcoin. And they're called, tokens. That's how it can cut the financial system
out that you wouldn't need a brokerage and stuff like that. That they can work automatically. Smart contract. Sorry, there, go on.
Yeah, yeah, and now you just brought me to mind there on exchanges and all. There's other things called stop losses and all, where you literally it sells it for you if the price drops. Now that's why it probably exacerbates the flash crashes then when they do go down quite rapidly. But the thing about the any of these markets, they're very volatile, and people panic when they see, say, a 10 or 15% drop. Like there was one there probably 3 weeks ago, as Gavin said, and it came back up to what it fell from. So if you're just patient, it's a bit like buying in. If you're patient, it'll level out as well, you know.
The dollar cost averaging takes that out of it though, Govan. You know,
Yeah,
it would be
that's
mad
if
for
you're
anyone.
buying
You'd
in. I'm
never,
talking about
yeah.
people trading, you know, they panic.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, and they
Panic selling.
sell while it's fallen, and then it might
So
bounce
you were
back up.
the position you were in. You were happy. You knew the game, and you were happy. It didn't knock a flink out of you when you seen the
No,
price
because
movement.
I do actually I do play that way. So I know that if it goes high, I'm selling a certain amount, and if it falls rapidly, I'm sitting there waiting to catch it and then resell in an instant. So I've often literally in a split second made quite a nice day's pay just for in a few seconds, really, you know, because I program it in to catch the bottom of the fall, and then it jumps back up and it sells automatically for me. I don't have to do anything. I've often got up in the morning and be 500 or 600 richer just by a flash crash, you know.
That's having the entry point on the exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah.
so I have cash. I always have cash sitting there in a certain amount and Bitcoin in a certain amount. So if it rises, I'll sell, but it might just rise and then come back down, and I'll buy back again at a lower price. And the same when it falls, I'll have cash sitting there, and just say it went from 40 and it flash crashed to 30. I'll have about a 10% drop. So I wouldn't say it'd be that much, but say a 10% drop. And if it catches it, it might. I worked out years ago that it usually bounces back to about 66% of what it fell from top to bottom. So I sort of go by that formula, and I've worked out that it's worked three times, you know, 3 times out of 4, really, you know, for me. So it's just my
Yeah.
system.
But
Yeah.
the patterns do kind of repeat over time. For me, looking at them now, I'm a lot more confident. I wouldn't recommend anybody to jump in and speculate with anything the way the market is choppy at the minute, because as I said last year, it was, you know, I could say with confidence we're in a bull market here. You buy any of these, you're going to make money, and I could have stood over that. But now it is a bit choppy. I wouldn't be 100%. We're gone on into a little bit technical for people, because I think most people here they want to learn a bit. Maybe they've never used it, they don't have a clue about what it is, and they we don't want to go into the too technical side of it. The platform I'm on, that crypto.com, it's just an app on your phone. It's very easy to get your money across from your debit card or from your bank account. KYC to verify on, and they have the cold wallet that you can, if you're paranoid that the company's going to go under, which I'm not, my money's on their platform. I'm very confident with them. Obviously, that's everyone else's due diligence to do. I'm confident with them anyway. I don't think that they're going to go out of business overnight. My money's there. Um, they do all the benefits we said. Basically, that staking, that you can earn some money on your savings if you didn't want to be in any risk. You just want to buy that US backed or the gold backed coin. You want to put it in there for and earn interest on it. I'm not chilling that platform, by the way, but I want Goban and me to try to go back to simplifying it for the absolute beginners. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's all. Yeah.
So I think most people, I haven't used it now because but I heard a few of them here saying they bought it on Revolut. But I think was it you? They're saying you don't actually own any of it, so you're only
Only
sort of
advise that. Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
you're virtually
You don't
trading
own
it.
that.
Yeah.
What's it do to say? Not your keys, not your crypto, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
not your keys, not your crypto.
Bitstamp, Revolut have a deal with Bitstamp.
Yeah, well, I'm on. So anyone that comes to me and asks me to get in, I tell them, right, what are you putting in, and they'll say they put 2,000 in. I'll say, right, put it into Bitstamp, put it all in, and it's sitting there in cash, and then I tell them that they can program to buy at a certain price drop. They might want to just get all in. They might. I tell them to sort of stage it down, say about 10 or 15%, maybe 20% over, small amounts, like little crumbs really. And if there's a fall, it'll catch some of them, maybe all of them, and then it goes back up. Now, if they want to trade, now most people that get into it, they sort of get sort of a bug for trading because it can be exciting. I used to get up at 4 in the morning. I'd get some sort of a flash in my head that it's dropping. Like, and this is in the early days, like it can be nerve-wracking, but you sort of learn the thing. If you look over time, you learn the trends that happen, and so it doesn't panic you much at all. Like, but most people that get in, sort of, they might double their money, and they get euphoric as that they've doubled their money in a month, where you'd never do it in a lifetime in a bank, and then all of a sudden it's gone again, and they're totally deflated. But you just have to sort of hold your nerve and do a little bit of
Dollar cost averaging takes that out though. It's very important.
yeah.
With the trading, Gobin, I got carried away, especially with the leverage trading. You go into that, you're gambling. You're not trading. You're not, because these are the questions we're going to be asked now in a minute. We're going to get asked. We're going to be grilled. I'd say a couple of lads are going to accuse us of being gambling, this, that, and the other. And it is gambling. If you go into the high leverage trading, they give you can put 100 quid in, and they can give you 100 times your money on a trade. And basically, instead of it moving 1%, it's magnified by 100. So the price hasn't just deviated by 1%. Because you've used 100x leverage, it can only move a fraction of a cent, and your whole position could be liquidated. Your whole 100 could be gone and taken. And it is like heroin or a cocaine, and it's very addictive. And I got carried away when I was only learning last year, and I lost a substantial amount, not massive money, but it was a lot to me. And it's a sore, bitter pill to swallow. And the 600 quid that I had left, I left it there, and I hodled and I held it. It went up to 3,500. Now it dropped to 1,500 in the last crash, but it's, I'm still up. I just wish I knew what I know now last year, because there was good speculation.
I was like that when I got in, saying, so I do know now what I didn't know then, but I always tell people, never borrow, just put in what you're prepared to lose and you'll be fine. And like
I said about the savings, for the savings thing, there's ways of doing it really safe. There is now safe ways of doing it where you're not going to witness 40% of your money crashing. Like I said, you can buy into the stable coins. Like if I had 50,000 now, and I would put it into what I have, that app that I have, and I would stake it there for the year with their 12% per annum, and they pay every week. Like on that's fucking unbelievable. To me, that would be brilliant. And if I had that money, I would put that in. I would be confident enough to put that in. My money's in it. That's unbelievable. I know you need a little bit more money to make it worth your while, but there's ways of putting your money in there and it be safe as you can get. It's just as safe as, well, you know what I mean. I'm not.
There's another company, you know what I mean? There's another thing like staking with Ethereum. So just say Ethereum is 2,000 at the minute, or it's in or around it, 2,000 euro, right? So I can put my Ethereum into a staking pool, and they'll pay me 6,000. But in the year, I put my, just say 20 of them in, right, just for a figure. Ethereum has climbed up to 3,000. Well, I get that as well, you see, rather than just holding it in the wallet in a ledger. So I'm winning on the interest they're paying me plus the appreciation of the coin, even though I can't trade that coin while I have it staked. So as you said, there's loads of it's the biggest growing industry, I'd say, by far going, because I think the whole crypto industry, if I'm right or wrong, but it was up to 2 trillion. It might be just down probably 1.5 trillion now.
The thing
Whereas
to say,
the world gold market, I think, is 7 trillion.
Just on that, the one is a disclaimer, but the other thing I want to touch on is kind market cap. So I just want to read out the disclaimer because I don't think it's been covered in the recording. Disclaimer. Please note that any views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in these speaker sessions belong solely to the speakers, do not necessarily represent those of Ireland on Lockdown Voice Chat and its employees. This is not financial advice. Please also note that this session is being recorded so that others can listen to it later. Being a participant is taken that you accept these terms. So I just want to get that disclaimer out in the recording. And you're talking about the amount of money that's in crypto at the moment. And if I can just refer back to when you were talking, you touched on, people don't invest in Bitcoin because, they don't own one Bitcoin. But you pointed out that it's to 8 decimal places. One question I didn't get in, and it's just something to be aware of, more so for altcoins, but it's this term coin market cap. And a website to look up these coins, a good one, is called CoinGecko. We can share that in the channel, or we'll put it on the subscriber. But coin market cap, and you're like, what is that? Well, it's the amount of money, if you were the sole owner of all the Ethereum that, at the moment, and you were to sell it all at the current price at this moment, that's the coin market cap. I don't know what it is right now for Bitcoin, but I think it's like Bitcoin and gold are like 1-to-1, or it's close enough. You can correct me on that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like, I think all the gold in the world is worth 7 trillion now, as far as I know. So it's a way to go yet. But
Just
not. But it was, if you said that 5 years ago that it would be, they'd laugh at you, like when the market cap was past, so say 50 billion, people were astounded. But even I remember Max Kaiser I'm not sure, saying he was a Bitcoin millionaire. And I was thinking, I worked it out at the time, and I says, he's got 20,000 Bitcoin. So if he did hold on to them all, he's definitely a billionaire now.
One other thing I want to touch on that coin market cap as well. For the different altcoins, we'll just give an example. Dogecoin, there's a lot of them. They can be printed a lot of. It's probably not the best example, but we'll just pretend that Dogecoin, that there's only 5,000 coins in existence. Dogecoins, it's broken up into decimal places. And you're looking at, Dogecoin, for example, but we'll say it's Magic Coin, just to give it some other name. You're like, oh, wow, I'm looking at Magic Coin here. Someone's after recommending me this new altcoin. And look at the price of Magic Coin right now. One Magic Coin is worth, 100 euros. That's excellent. But that just could be because that there isn't that many Magic Coins in existence. And what you'd actually be looking at there to actually really understand, is a Magic Coin, is it worth a lot, is to look at the coin market cap. And generally for a lot of altcoins, it might be somewhere between 50,000 if it's a new coin, or, let's say 1 million. But that's really what you want to be looking at when you're looking at altcoins, is how much, if you were to add up all the Magic Coins that exist right now, and if they were to be sold, what price is that? And that's the coin market cap. Just something I wanted to kind of address to people. And where you can look at that, a good reference is coingecko.com. That's like
I shared that into the group, Tom. I shared the link to the app, the CoinGecko.
Yeah. Another thing to remember there's certain ones that are sort of on the periphery of digital currencies and cryptos. XRP would be one, where I think there's something like 45 billion of them. And they can make more of them. They're not mined into existence. So people were trading on them because say they went up from, I think the very highest they ever went was about $3.80, and then they crashed right down, and people were thinking they were great. But the fact is, there was so many of them, it was never ever going to move off the $3 or $4 thing, because they could actually make more of them. There was nothing stopping them making more. A bit like a central bank can just make more euros whenever they want.
They were used for transactions. You see, that's what we may just discuss again, Goban. The utility they wanted, the actual the industry they wanted to disrupt was SWIFT payment system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was billions of those tokens. Like I think I said that earlier, for a reason. It's to make financial transactions cheaper. And what they had was a massive budget for marketing. You know what I mean? They had moon boys all over YouTube and diehards buying it, XRP to the moon, this, that, and the other. And I looked into it, and I'm not putting down the coin. It's well capitalized and whatever else. But it's long in the tooth, and exactly what you said. It'll never hit massive money. It'll never be a Bitcoin. It'll never go to $100 and stay there ever. And sometimes during these bull markets, they get these spikes. And I think once it might went up to $13 and fell within a day back to where it always has been and should been. And also, their executive team are selling onto the market every month massive amounts for salaries. Like they're positioned up at Goldman Sachs or somewhere on Wall Street. They're not. You know what I mean? They're big out expenses fellas, banker boys, and every month they sell millions of them to pay themselves onto the market, which means your little XRP holdings go down when they dump 5 million a month onto the market or whatever massive amount it is. Sorry,
yeah, as we said, it's not mined, it's just produced. So it's basically a digital currency that governments are going to have, only what they were trying to do was this something like $4 to $7 trillion traded every day on foreign exchanges. And then, so you take the whatever percentage the foreign exchange rate is, for you to change into a dollar. It's never going to be what you see on the day's rate, because they're going to charge you that fee for doing it. And I forget what the fees are every day, but it's huge of a $4 to $7 trillion market. So I think XRP was trying to make that so you could move $10 million for a couple of cents from here to China or here to Japan. Whereas if you've done it in a foreign exchange trade thing, the bank will make a big scalping off you. So that was probably the reason behind XRP.
Goban to talk about would be VeChain, because people, I don't think we spoke enough about some of them have an actual real world utility. For the fourth use case, because for the fourth industrial revolution, all this crap that's going on, a lot of this is like, say for example, VeChain is one that's up on the top, and it might be one worth looking at. But what they're doing, they are a business, and they are working on the ground to, say for example, pharmaceutical products have a sell by date, they need to have a batch number, they need to have traceability. That's now blockchain. That's what VeChain is. That's what they're doing. So their company is basically trying to put high risk products, be it food, be it pharmaceuticals, whatever like that, onto a blockchain, so that it cannot be manipulated along the line, that your tube of toothpaste came from A to B to Z, and that's what the VeChain token is. That's what it does. That's its utility. That's what that blockchain system is for. That all these products will be on the blockchain and be able to be tracked from start to finish and unmanipulated. So there's two use cases. There's the XRP is trying to disrupt the SWIFT industry, with the transactions and remittances and all that payments, and then you've got VeChain on the other side is trying to disrupt, or say, supply chains management and traceability and that. I'll give it to you, Goban. I'll just have a think of another.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna. I think we've probably touched on everything there. So we've touched on everything we can think of. So we'll take questions maybe.
We should open up to questions. I will just give a quick look at just the amount of hands that are up. I'll leave it to the questions, and then I'll jump in at the end with my Pokemon blockchain pitch at the end. But
so I'm gonna
more NFT stuff. Yeah, I was thinking of asking you about that though.
Well, have you one more thing to say there, Gavin? No, about it.
Oh, sure.
before
Then
we-
we can open up the questions then. So there's no point in
Yeah,
going too
right.
deep
Well, I
into
think
it.
Linda had her
Yeah.
hand up there first. So just make it fairly brief, Linda, when I open you up, right?
Thanks, Angobar. Yeah, I will. I will make it very brief, but it was something that was just very curious. I think I mentioned it before, but it was probably the wrong time. Thank you. But I'm just interested if anybody has heard about Daz coin. It came about, I'd say, in the last about 4 years. It kind of was really going places, and then obviously, you know, in fairness, I will say that I'm a lazy person when it comes to all this, so I didn't I had 2 children and all that, so I just left it there. But I'm just wondering if anybody heard about Dazcoin. Sorry, that's it. That's my question.
Can you just give us the spelling of Dazcoin? I'll look it up on CoinGecko and we can just get some information on the fly as to where it's standing right now. But how do you spell it?
Thanks much. It's DAS, Daz, and then coin.
Okay, I'll check it up on CoinGecko there. There's a lot of
Right.
coins.
I just to follow up on that, I remember buying this Max coin because even though Max Kaiser said he had nothing to do with it, he sort of plugged it on his program, and so I bought them, and then they went like it's like any initial price offering. They were high on the first day, and then they sank right down, and I went looking for the exchange, which was eCoins. That was the only one that were selling it, and some fella had written up on Reddit. So them pair of bastards ran off with everything, you know. So that's the problem with some of these exchanges. You're not. It's not the actual coin. You could lose on the coin, but you could also lose on one of these unregulated exchanges. Now, some of the big ones are very regulated, like they comply with all the anti-money laundering things. So you have to put the passport in, utility bill, take your photograph, a profile photograph. So Claire would be saying, "Oh, that'll have them all right." So it's like going in and opening a bank account. If you're
I'd like to say
hiding
though
it,
on
it's
that as
not the
well.
place to do it.
I'd like to say on that as well. Like, if you're buying the crypto on the likes of Revolut or on the PayPal apps or any of them, it's not your crypto. The reason we're kind of like not the reason we're interested in it, apart from that, it was kind of rebellious to be into the Bitcoin early in the day. You're kind of trying to take your money out of the fiat system and F you to the man and all that kind of crack. The thing is, if you have Revolut there and you're putting all your savings into whatever they have in the app, their Ethereum on the app, and you think that you're giving your middle finger to the man, you're not really, because it's not your crypto. And if anything happened or there was massive regulation in the country, or they wanted to seize your Bitcoin or seize your gold or seize your money or whatever, or your banks were collapsing, you're going to lose your savings, that's gone. The difference between being on the apps that I'm on and the stuff that Gobin's talking about is that when there's a crisis, we can switch that off the chain, and the government would have to break your fingers to get the code out of you. And you've seen they're introducing legislation that they can put you in prison if you don't give them codes for phones and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying there's ways around, obviously loopholes around that too. That's tyranny. But all I'm saying is that's how you can bury your crypto in the ground, say, and the government can't get it. They can absolutely not get it. If it's in Revolut or somewhere like that, it's not yours. You know what I mean? That's all I want to say on that.
Well, unless
your mic is unmuted.
I just wanted to address something that wasn't touched on here, and it does tie in with Linda's question. I just posted the Dazcoin in the main chat, but we kind of did touch on it, but just the dangers of altcoins, speculative coins, especially new ones, that they can go to zero. And something we didn't touch on is that there's lots of certain Telegram channels on here where you're kind of like an insider in there, and you join the secret Telegram channel and they say, okay, we're going to pump Dazcoin now. Okay, so everyone buy it at a really high price. Let's pump it up and let's push it out there and recommend it to other people. And you've bought it in now and the price goes up and up. And then within that little Telegram group, you say, okay, now sell it off because it's just a random coin, has no utility, has no community behind it. Community meaning, developers.
Pump and dump. It's not what they call them, or Thomas.
Yes, that's what I should say. It's a pump and dump scheme. So there is always dangers of altcoins going to zero. So just be careful when you're investing in altcoins.
But there is a case of that if you're buying like the coin market. CoinGecko is really good to look at there. You've got your top 100 coins. Realistically, the best ones are the top 20, top 50. And even at that, we're at the end of a bull cycle. You could buy Bitcoin tonight and wake up tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying that will happen because nobody knows. I shouldn't say Bitcoin. You could buy any of them tonight, and tomorrow you could wake up and be down 15% how much you put your money. So that's not shitcoin. That's the best of the best could do that to you. So that's what we were talking about. The dollar cost averaging earlier is buying in over time with small amounts at all different prices. You don't care what the price is at that stage. You want to buy Bitcoin or you want to buy Ethereum, and you're buying it over time. You're averaging in, so you've got in at all different prices. And then the way Goban was there with his Bitcoin, he wasn't crying when the Bitcoin price dropped by 40,000 or 40%. He was still up. He was still up massive money, and he knew how to respond. And this, that, and the other. And the other side of it, what I'm saying is to not have it's going to happen that you're going to have to download the Gov app, which are digital money, and it's going to be horrific when the social credit system comes in. It's tied to your basic income, social welfare, and all that. It's going to be horrific. As I said, they can micromanage your whole life. So my idea of it now is what I'm doing is I'm familiar with the technology. There is ways, as I said, of putting your money in there, and it's as safe as any bank. It doesn't go up and down. It's dollars. You can actually lock it in and earn huge interest on it. There's loads of different financial instruments and new technologies that's there. This is a game changer industry. This is a disruptive industry. This is what's going to change the whole banking sector. This is like 1995 when they rolled out internet into people's homes. No one knows what it's going to do, but it's that big. It is that big. People don't seem to realize that it's like a new internet. We sound like Klaus Schwab or something now, ushering in the Great Reset. But that's what they're bringing in. So realistically, we have to adapt to it and try and keep it ourselves ahead of the competition. In fact, we're still kind of early adopters to crypto, so at least we know what's available. We didn't touch at all on the privacy coins, which Gran Torino, he's a big fan of the pirate chain, and that's a privacy coin. People say, Bitcoin that can be used for terrorists, which is actually bullshit, because I think Goban touched on it there. All transactions on Bitcoin are on an open ledger. They can all be seen. There's a Bitcoin that's been earmarked as being dirty money, blood money. As far as I know, it for whatever nefarious purpose,
just sitting there,
and no one will touch it. Know that if you had it, exchanges will flag it. Like even if you were given it by accident. Yeah, like when it goes to go back into the system, it's flagged. Yeah.
I think Al Mariachi had his hand up there. I don't know, was it by mistake or does he want to ask a question there?
Yeah, I got a couple of quick questions. First of all, wallets, names of wallets. How do I get a wallet? What do I store it on?
Trezor is the one I have, right?
What's it called?
Trezor.
Trezor, is it, or?
I don't know if it's S's or Z's. Trezor. Just be careful when you're Googling that, because there's some scam with it that looks like Trezor to bring you into it. But Trezor
asking though for hold on, Goban, is he asking about hard wallets or is he asking about just like
hard wallets?
You can have a crypto wallet, a cryptocurrency wallet. You don't actually have to, like, it's still safe once you have your keys. You know what I mean? You don't actually physically have to have a hard wallet. It is a bit what do you call it? It's a bit confusing for people about the wallet can just be an app on your phone. The next step is to have. I personally don't have a hard wallet. I don't have enough money to warrant it yet. Do you know what I mean? I don't have one like a pen drive.
Okay, so let's say it's Trezor for a hard wallet, and if you're using an online wallet, then so what? Which?
Crypto.com, I think it's really good and user friendly for any novice. It's just like any banking app, and you get the debit card if you apply for it, and you can spend your crypto. That's the one I personally use, and I use it myself. I have links on my other account if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
So literally, it transfers it into cash for you as you spend it. You know. So.
Okay, next is if you were buying any kind of coin on through a service or whatever, do you need security on the device you're buying it? Like if you're using a laptop or an iPad or whatever, or a
Yeah,
phone, do you
there's
need
a thing called two-factor security on it. So you download, say, Google Authenticator when it'll advise you when you just say, I use a Bitstamp, right? So when I go into Bitstamp, I put in a password, which they'll tell you to make fairly hard, and then they'll tell you to change it regular, right? You have your account number, which is usually a code now, but it can be just your email address. And then when you log in, you have to go to the two-factor thing. So literally, there's a random number generator on your phone, and it's matching the one they have. So you have 30 or 1 minute to put it in after you log in, and then you're into your account. So if a hacker got your account number and your password, they still have to get the two-factor in, and then to get
Also
it.
saying that, Goban, that not to take a screenshot of your code. They say that because then you'll have a picture within your phone.
Yeah,
So when
and
you
they
get the
hack your
keys to your
phone, yeah.
wallet, write it down and put it in write it down multiple times and hide it in multiple locations around wherever that, you know what I mean? And then you're cool. But don't save a screenshot in your phone or anything like that, because, and also I think a little bit of what Matt actually was saying there, if you want to use a proxy on your phone, you know, the servers, you don't have to even pay for it to get a free proxy server. But that's now, you know, I don't turn on my proxy the whole time when I'm doing my transaction. But sorry, Goban, go on there.
Yeah, no, that's the two. Now, there's also a security if you had say a substantial amount in the online, like on the exchange, that you have to do it as well, taking it out. Now, if they did get your password by hacking into your phone and it's a big long string of numbers and letters, and you put it into, say, Google Authenticator. So that is probably, now I've heard of literally armed robberies where they go into Russia and these places. They track them through email addresses and through whatever, you know, they work out where the person lives and literally go in at like a gunpoint robbery, give us your codes, and then they'll transfer them out. But that could
With the
happen.
crypto.com, the system that I'm on, like their house app would be where you would be, say, you're at the risk of like a bank folding because they're custodian of your crypto at that time, and that's where you can stake with them, and that's the benefit to them. So if I stake my savings with them, they pay me interest, but they can do what they like with my money, and that's fine. That's I'm trusting them to do that. But they also have the separate wallet app, and you can transfer your money from their app where you can stake and earn and all that and the different features, and you can transfer seamlessly to their offline your wallet, your keys app that they have absolutely no way of getting into or touching. And then you get this code, the big string of numbers that Goban is talking about, and you wouldn't even screenshot that, and it'll be on your phone, and you will write down that big string of numbers and put it in multiple locations within your house. And then literally you could be arrested, you could be anywhere on this planet. You don't even need a phone. Once you download that app again and put in your authentication details, that, you know, that string of numbers, you will be back in with all your funds in that app. It cannot be taken away from you. And the two-factor authentication, Goban, you can do that to access your account through Google just to get onto the main app. Like, say, I have that now. If I go to sign in, they'll just ask me that. I'd say most people know what two-factor. To be honest with you, I don't have two-factor authentication on my app with them right now. But I have had it I think I have it on my computer for their exchange. Well, we're not talking about that. But on their app now, I just use my normal biometric or my code to get in. And then my money isn't on the side wallet app at the minute. I have that on my phone, but my money is on their platform because I'm ready to maybe stake that and earn an interest off of them, or to jump into something, you know, get in at something at the right price. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. And the debit card is very handy to be able to swap over and spend it if you want or whatever else.
All right, sorry, no, I'm kind of losing track here now with all that. Just basically, if whatever exchange you're using has two-factor authentication or whatever you're saying, that theoretically should be safe, and you do not need additional security on whatever device you're using to do your transactions or whatever. Am I
No,
right?
if your phone is safe and you have it on your phone. Now, if you lost your phone and it was open and they worked out your password and all, like I suppose it's like losing your bank card with a post-it with your PIN number on the back. Really, you know, there is
I know
vulnerability
myself
like
that they can't be hacked into like that. You know, if you're on a PC and there was malware on your PC and they were spying on you and there was a hacker, you know, the way remotely able to see what was on your screen, then you're in trouble, straight, of course. But mine's running from my smartphone here, and I have absolutely no issues like with that. I don't use two-factor authentication to access the app or my wallet on the smartphone at the minute. But you know, if you had a laptop and you didn't have your antivirus up to date and your anti-malware, and there would have been Indian lads texting you telling you that someone had access to your computer and you have to pay €500, yeah, that would be very dangerous.
Okay, now I don't know if there's anybody else wants to get in. I have a few more questions, but if you want to take somebody else in the meantime, I can come back.
No, you should might as well.
Okay, so basically, just to recap, you're saying Bitstamp would be good, and Gabon is saying crypto.com in a nutshell for the two.
Yeah, well, there's Coinbase too. That's the biggest, I think, now in size, because I think it's American based, so there's a big market there. There's a lot of them. I don't know. Was that Robinhood app? Was that doing or something similar to it, or was it Gavin? That all
Similar
these,
to Ledger, or sorry, to Revolut, and them, not your keys, not your crypto. I think, to be honest, I don't want to start because I have a referral link for it, right? And that's why, and it's not worth nothing. Like at 25, you get 25, you sign up. It's not. I just put that up because I can put it up because I use them. But that's why I'm not saying I'm trying to shill it. But I do think for novices, and that's why I got it, because it was so easy to get the money in, to use a debit card. It's really simple, and to have an exchange if you going down that road and you want to use the exchange, and to have the offline wallet, so it's not like Revolut or one of them. You can actually own your crypto, and then they have NFT kind of, you know, and they do the DeFi and they do staking and they give you to do loans. It's like a bank. They are really good. I'm not sitting here trying to shield them. That's what I do. I like them. You know what I mean? They're good. Yeah, I'll put the link on it, but it's not for the purposes of €25. I don't need $25 in my life, but it is handy to get fucking 25 each of it if you want to sign up to it. But that's the only reason I'm on it. It's very easy to use, and to have, you can own your own crypto and all that malarkey, and you know, it's just user friendly. It'll be like what the government one is. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's why I think it's good to get into, you know, that one, because that's kind of the way the government ones will be.
Okay, Gabon, you mentioned something about you can take, you know, if you stuff on one of the things, you could take a loan out against it. But am I thinking, like, if you take out a loan against something, and let's say that the coin tanks or it loses value, you're still caught for that, if that money, aren't you?
yeah, you're still, so they'll not give you 1-for-1 for the value of your collateral. I'm not sure what it is, and there's a lot more of them are going into it. I think Bitstamp has gone into it. There's a crowd called Gemini, but I'm not sure how they work. I heard Max Kaiser on about it, but the longer time goes by and there's more really big fellas, they'll need to realize their money, that like they won't be able to probably buy a house. They might be able to buy a house, but just say they wanted to buy a house out of what they've made. They don't want to give the government a load of tax first, so that by turn it into fiat, so they will take a loan out on the value of it. So
okay.
if you went historically, you'd be in a win-win situation. If it tanked altogether, you would be left with a loan and your collateral would have gone right down, but they're not going to give you a 1-to-1. So if you have 100 grand in crypto, they're not going to give you a 100 grand loan. I'm not sure what the ratio is.
I'm just going to go in here and have a look. I just talking about authentication and just authenticating my way in. I'll have a look actually just for the pig iron while we're chatting. And there was something else I wanted to say about that. There's no scam in them giving you the loan, right? Like that, like if
no, it's an
like
exchange.
if the money drops in between, like they're like it's mutual
No,
kind of
well,
risk. You know what I
my
mean?
concern
It's not
there
like they're
obviously
not getting a fiddle out of
if
it or
something
anything. You know
does.
what I mean? That's the crypto market. But they can give you a one-to-one loan on the back of Tether, which is linked to the dollar. So there's, like, I know you can say, oh, the dollar could collapse, but they're saying that the last 20 years. And look, I'm beginning to believe it might soon. But whatever, look, that's hairy-fairy. But you can literally get your loan back to Tether, which is dollar backed, or another one that's back to the dollar. And then it's not Ethereum that you're going to wake up at a 40% drop the next day. You get where I come from. And just go when you talk there. I'm just going to have a look into this app when I get in, and I'll let you know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. What question were you there, Elmari? Actually, another one, or was?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can cut me off for somebody else if you need to, but will I keep going or?
Yeah. Just give us another one there, and then we'll probably let Linda back on.
Okay, this is probably highly speculative on what Gabon was saying. You know, let's say the governments bring in their own cryptocurrencies or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, well, it's a digital,
Theoretically,
not
then like
crypto.
okay, all right, okay. Let's say they do that. If you have money in your crypto or whatever, and you want to, if the government isn't controlling the economy through digital currencies and they have control of the banks and etc., then how do you actually? Is it theoretically possible then that your crypto becomes worthless because you can't actually cash it in, or
No,
you can't use
so
it to buy stuff?
right. So I would say they might just say the digital euro. The ECB says put a blank so that you couldn't put that into an exchange. I don't know if that'd work. They could outlaw it that way and say, right, you can't use your digital euro to buy cryptocurrency.
Well, I'll try and make it more basic. Let's say we have these digital currencies. So like our euro is now a digital euro. So
Yeah.
you want to buy a car, but you have crypto. You don't want to use but then like I mean, if the government controls the bank, how
Well,
theoretically can you still?
you'll have a wallet. You'll have a wallet. So when they do come out with the digital currency, you'll have a wallet probably on your phone, or they might just give you a bank card like you normally have, and the banks will become less and less visible. They won't be needed for anything, only walking in and asking for a mortgage, really, I suppose. But you will then be able to put money into your account from your business. So just say it's a purchase, like people are still gonna trade between each other, like them Revoluts where I could give you 20 euro out of my wallet into your wallet. So that way is still working. The only thing is if they put a block on certain items that you couldn't sell, like, well, or certain businesses. So I couldn't give it to you because I'm blacklisted. That could happen. They can do anything when their digital world is as Gavin said, is programmable. So you'd have to go through all the scenarios. The one there that just came to mind though was if they said the exchanges, but there's some country will always I can't say all the countries all of a sudden amalgamating and saying, right, we'll get rid of this because one will stand out, I think, and say, we'll take all your money, because there's trillions in the ecosystem as it is in the crypto system already. And it's all based on trust that it'll be there. And that's the whole thing about a currency is one fella trusting that it'll survive long enough for him to make his transaction. It's not like, something that's just going to evaporate. But like there's a lot of people thinking of ways to protect it, and I'm sure there's governments and central banks saying if this really gets a foothold, we'll lose control over the finance of the world, and banking and everything. As Gavin was saying there, like all banking can be done through crypto now. Loans, everything, storage, interest, paying interest. So a bubble somewhere always comes from a deflation somewhere else. So they're not going to be happy about it. But it's like 1.5 trillion or 2 trillion is not a lot to them at the minute. It's a lot of bread, but the way they're printing money, it's not damaging them yet. But if more and more people go into cryptocurrencies, then they could start a fight back. All right, yeah. But they'll need their digital currency to do that.
With
Okay,
regard to the digital currency, sorry, Mariachi. With regard to the digital currency, is there any kind of like estimation or general estimation as to how far away they actually are? Like, do they have the infrastructure
China
ready
has
to
it.
run?
China has it. China's released theirs in parallel with their normal currency, and so the Bank of England put out a white paper on it or whatever. Lagarde, as Gavin said, Lagarde said they're in the process of, so they'll all come in at the same time. It'll be a bit like their vaccines; they'll all arrive at the same day. You know.
Cash doesn't like. You reckon cash doesn't have much more than maybe a year or so left? Even
No, it's not
at
more
all?
than that. They'll gradually take it out, and they'll use reasons to take it out. You know, like it's dirty, and they'll also, how they'll do it first is they'll give you an incentive to have a digital currency, so you get, say, 5% off buying your produce through your phone app or whatever, and they'll penalize you for using cash in the shops, because the banks will start charging them a fee to handle it, the business. So just say Super Value or whatever will say, oh, you're paying for cash, you have to pay an extra 2% on that because of the handling charge of the banks. So that's how they'll do it. And just the incentives, but it's not really incentive, because once they have you in it, they can then program it to do whatever they want. So it's always going to be depreciating. And one of the nightmare scenarios is they'll put a sell-by date on it, where it's rapidly loses value over time if you don't spend it in time, and that's just to keep their whole Ponzi scheme going, really, because unlike a cryptocurrency, there's an infinite amount of euros and dollars, whereas there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin, less the ones that's been lost in hard wallets or hard drives that people threw out, or sitting them in someone's attic, or someone died, or what have you.
Where would there be scope for black market activity in
That's
that
what
world? Or would there?
that's where the privacy coins will be. that's the. So if anyone is thinking of getting into privacy coins, they're going to be the ones that they're going to hit first. The DEA and the FBI and the drug squads and Interpol, they're going to be chasing this, because that's where your black market is going to be. Like, the black market will always find a currency. I mean, it could be the
Pirate
product
coin and
itself.
Monero are really hidden. Like the way we were talking about, Bitcoin could be seen, the ledger's open. You have coins like Monero and Pirate, the ARAR, it's called on the exchange, and they can't be seen on the ledger. And we had Dash, digital cash, back in the last boom, and they actually started to open up more because they got so much flack from regulators over it being a private coin. It was marketed as a privacy coin, and they were just got so much flack in America over from regulators that now they've opened up. But now you've got Pirate Bay, who've come on from that, and Monero that have taken that role. Now, to me, you heard what I just told you what happened to Dash. So there's, I know what's his name, like the Pirate Bay.
Kim.com.
He was on here. Sorry, it's shocking now. I can't think of his name. Gran Torino likes the Pirate
yeah.
Bay. That's the one he's with. But I'm saying Monero and Pirate Bay are privacy coins, but Dash they reneged on that after a while because of the flack that they had got from regulators and stuff. So that's just something to think about when you're investing in those. And I'm not saying you shouldn't or you should. I don't know enough about Monero, and that I like the principle of them being privacy, and they're very good, and they have been making great gains and whatever. But I'd like to look into what the Dash story is. I'd like to do my homework on Dash and see why they pulled back, and could that happen to Pirate and Monero, if you get me.
Yeah, well, if I suppose I know that it's very hard. It'd be like looking for the black market itself for the FBI and all these agencies, but
The real privacy ones, though, Govan.
they
That's what
will
annoyed
find
me
them and
about
they'll
this
confiscate it
hacking.
straight away. Where they won't confiscate your Bitcoin if it's just made through market gains. You know what I mean?
But that'll tell
Yeah.
you the farce of the hacking and the ransomware. Like, these ransoms have been paid in crypto and they've been paid in Bitcoin, in inverted commas. And that goes to say that the hackers aren't smart enough to use Pirate, and the hackers aren't smart enough to use Monero. It just goes to show what a farce it is, because if they were legitimate hackers and legitimate sophistication, they would be using Monero and Pirate, because they can absolutely not be traced. So it just goes to show what a farce that whole hacking thing is, that they're not using those coins, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, sure. The last one, as I said there on that pipeline, they supposedly paid the ransom into Coinbase. So that's
They're just trying to attack the market, which
yeah,
is a concern.
that looks like an inside sting, you know. So I think had her hand up there, so I unmute. I think it's a her. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Thanks, Gavon. Yeah, I have two questions, if I may. So the first question is, it's a good segue from what you just spoke about. So a potential future consideration or concern being around, obviously, the impending multiple cyber attacks that I think we're all embracing ourselves for. Some have already happened, obviously, hitting across every single industry. And my feeling that is what they're preparing for is a digital identity to get onto the internet. So your considerations around that. And the second consideration is around inheritance. God forbid something happened to you guys in the morning.
Yeah.
Does anybody have your keys, like inheritance
Yeah.
to your children? That's
Well,
my second question.
well, number one, yeah, right. So my fella's not a child anymore, so if I disappear, he bumped me off and took me. So I have them in such a way that another family member would give him the second part of it. You know what I mean? Just it's not that I don't trust them, but
Okay, so you have one family member with your pass code.
yeah,
and they're
one
using
part,
it,
and he knows another part. Yeah, so
and another person knows your keys.
yeah, so it's
And what about inheritance tax? Is it
right.
subject to
Inheritance
normal?
tax, it's an asset, right? So it'll have to be declared like you'd be declaring shares in say in probate. So if just say your father had shares in just say Kingspan, and you were the sole inheritor, well, you have to declare that to probate. Well, you'll have to do the same, because if you have them on an exchange, they won't release them to any other one, only that person, into their bank account, right? So then you'd have a problem with the bank. Now, if you had them in a wallet, there's nothing. There's no implication whatsoever. If you have a cold wallet sitting in the house, and just say your father said, right here, I haven't got long. There it goes. There's the password. That's yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I guess the concern is, around what they're gunning for, having digital identities to get onto the internet, and the ability to get onto the internet if we've been good citizens, and that benefit being taken away if we're not. I think you know what I'm alluding to. And that would be one concern of mine.
Yeah, so to go into an exchange, you're going through the web, right? So, but if I was sending from my wallet to say Gavin's wallet, it'll go through the miners. They'll take a fee, and they can take a nice lump of a fee. Sometimes it's not even worth sending a small amount, say in Bitcoin, but say Bitcoin Cash would be very easy, right? So I can change it into Bitcoin Cash and then send it on to him. I can't see how they can stop that, because it's just broadcast. It's
But what
not.
happens if you were not a good citizen and you couldn't get onto the internet?
Yeah, but how do they stop me with a wallet on my phone on a burner phone, sending his burner phone, or a QR code. I met him down in a car park and I just transferred mine to him. How did they stop that? It's not like you have to go through servers or anything that they can close them down. It's totally independent of them. So, like, I remember some fella coming up with a ridiculous thing. What if they turn off the internet? You know, well, I said, well, if they could do that, as soon as they open it up again because they need it, everything starts up again.
It's like doomsday scenario. We can't think about that. So I guess what I'm gleaning from your response is that you're not concerned about that.
I'm not concerned about any of them questions as it stands. No.
Okay. And if I may sneak in a third or a 2.5, my friend is on Binance, and he's actually thinking of moving to Malta just because.
Yeah, Malta's a really Bitcoin friendly place, and I don't think there's any tax implications even taking it out if you've held it for more than 12 months. So if you've have it more than 12 months and then you redeem it into cash, I don't think there's any tax implications if you're a resident of Malta. And if you're an EU citizen living in Malta for 6 months, you can open up a bank account and get it moved in there. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 people on this group. I'm not sure if they're here tonight. They live in Malta.
Yeah, I definitely get it from a tax haven perspective, but my question is more specifically on the platform, Binance versus what comparably on crypto.com and then Bitstamp.
Yeah, well, I'm not in finance, so I heard some bad reports about Binance. I can't remember for what. Different people were giving out about them. Maybe Gavin heard something. I'm not sure, but I've only ever used Bitstamp. I used to use MTGOX, unfortunately, but I'm hoping it'll come good there. Or half, not half, but 18% or 15% or something.
I think Binance are pretty reputable. Do you know what I mean? Like,
obviously
I'm with Crypto.com. Like, I would see them on a similar level as Crypto.com. And some of them are trying to go, what do they mean, go public? Like, there's a few, and like, they're regulated by the European Authority and whatever else. And it is the future, I say, about disruptive technologies. It's happening whether we like it or not. And this is going to change, everything.
Yeah, as I think it was Musk said in one of his interviews years back before he turned Turk, really, but you don't know what he's playing at. He says the internet needs a currency, so it's literally seamless from one person to the next and not like going through.
To say on a Goban as well, and this is what it's only come from my research lately, and the importance of it. I said it earlier on, the data behind our transactions, the value of that to governments, to businesses, to entities, for any purpose is huge. And that now is becoming a question that they're talking about in the ECB and in the Fed. And these are the big questions. And that's why Diem or Libra, the Facebook coin, was rejected when they went to make their moves with it. It's the data behind the transactions. And then you've got the geopolitics of all of that. Like, do you know what I mean? How are they going to figure out? If I was to pay, America was to pay England, whatever, 10 billion for a certain thing, well, at any point, America could turn off that, like, or delete it from their account. You know what I mean? So these are questions that have to be addressed like globally.
Well, that's why it'd have to be on a blockchain. So they can't delete.
You need alternative cryptos that can't that are out of control of America or stuff like that, or like the way they might want to do this, they might want the IMF to be in charge of the SDR. They have their digital.
Yeah, well, they will regulate it probably through Basel, through
they're doing that SDR thing.
Yeah,
but then there is other governments that don't trust. Like then you're going into like the old world, where America had their sanctions mattered, and they could block you from SWIFT and they could do this and that and the other. And the China and them don't want, there's questions all over all of that.
Yeah. They'll have to come to some agreement, all of them, because as you said, if one turned Turk, the first shots of a war could be a currency war, you know, a real currency war.
Even the IMF isn't trustworthy. Like that's who they're going to want that to be, the arbiter. This like they have kind of now, but that's not enough. At least in the current system, a bag full of dollars, two or three duffel bags of dollars, or a duffel bags of dollars. You know what I mean? To any nefarious regime or whatever. So in the future, it doesn't suit, in my mind, it doesn't suit the most ardent wealthy person to have that kind of control centralized. You can see what Biden is doing now with the tax, the corporate tax globally. You know, so there's, I don't know. The safest way is to have an alternative crypto market there, that there isn't the spy through the currency, and there's some kind of private intermediate. You know, that's questions.
I think Warrior Mum had her hand up there.
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks for this tonight. So for us starting out with this, we obviously have to go through our own banks to buy into the cryptocurrency. So they're going to see like who we're interacting and how much we're investing. Is there any other way around that?
Well, there is peer-to-peer, which is a bit cumbersome. It takes out the internet thing of it, where you could, as I said, you could meet someone in a car park and transfer it to. But no, most of it is done on exchanges unless you can buy it peer-to-peer. So I'm just thinking there, but there's no real other way about it, you know. So once you're in one
what's
crypto,
the fear,
you can,
Warrior Mom? Is the fear that they're like, say now tonight you download the app, you want to fund it, you want to fund, you know, reasonable amount of money, you can do that with your debit card. Now they can see that you've funded that, and possibly, you know, they do flag things. I don't know if they will or not. I know the banks aren't, some of them aren't crypto friendly, but also you can transfer funds then from your bank by Swift or whatever you call that. That's into your account, and you're sorted, you know. But what is it like? What, you know, what reason would you not want them? Why would you care that they were looking at that transaction? That's my question to you. Sorry.
Yeah, I suppose, I mean, I did think of that too. I think for me, the less they know of my business, the better. But I did think of that too. They're just going to see it, aren't they?
They're going to see it at that point where you actually put it into the exchange. I was probably one of the first people. I'm just guessing. I sent money into Bitstamp a long time ago, and it hadn't gone through. So I rang the bank, and they said, "Oh, we have to transfer me." So your man said, "Yeah, money laundering department or whatever." I said, "What?" And I says, "I sent in a thing," and then he sort of says to me, "Yeah, you sent that into Bitcoin." And I says, "No, I sent it to Bitstamp," but that gave away that he knew what it was going to buy. But they were unsure at the time as to what was the legality of it all. But I was literally transferring it from my bank account to Bitstamp. But for some reason, they'd started noticing these movements, not just from me, you know, but and I often wondered, they didn't seem to know what they were doing, because your man sort of said it to me. He says, "Yeah, it's because it's for Bitcoin." I don't know why it was flagged, he says, but that was it. And then it went through the following day, and there was nothing more of it.
Yeah,
This is a good few years back, and that was there was only two exchanges then, I think, Bitstamp and MT Gox.
they're recruiting into it now, and they're looking into it. They're hiring people with more savvy into it, because it is legitimate. There's no nefarious thing behind it. From the forums, say with Cryptum.com for an example, I go through the forums, you know, because I'm a customer of them as well, and you just see other comments like on Facebook and stuff like that. Some people, it's life changing for them, because with their business and the card, they're just they're buying everything with their business with the card, and they're getting cash like 3% upwards. If you buy the higher tier cards, you're getting 8% back in your purchase. Now that's big shot fucking money you have to lay down to get that perk. But 3% at the minimum one is a lot on other purchases. And then there's people that are going out and buying cars then, because it's a higher tier card, and they're just buying a car with their card and getting 10% back or 8% back. So there is, I don't know about ins and outs. I'm not a baller or a high flyer, but there's, as I said, there's loads of ways of getting around it and whatever else. And it's KYC verified. So you can pay your tax and do everything legitimately above board if you want to. In a worst case scenario, you can fucking move your stuff onto a wallet and jump on a boat and disappear into the night, or go to prison for 10 years and get out. As long as you know your keys, your money's there, no one can ever touch it. You know what I mean? But that's at the minute.
Head to a Bitcoin friendly European country like Malta and stay there. And that's it.
And you forgot your keys. If they do put a gun to your head, or you're going to lock you up, like they do have that law now. They want to if you don't give us the keys, you can be locked up or whatever. Surely to God, there's loopholes. Claire will be the woman to know for that. But that's just ridiculous on the face of it. I can't, like, it's a key. It's about a 20-digit number. How would anyone remember it anyway if they came to that?
Yeah. It's
You know what I mean?
like that poor unfortunate fella that's doing 5 years at the minute, and he's 52 million in Bitcoin, but he put them in a fishing rod thing and he threw them in a skip. And so when he gets out, he'll go to Brazil and remember them.
That's the good thing about them.
Can I
But you can be within the system with them. It's not about being an outlaw. It's a fully legit business. The best thing about it is that you are kind of, one, you're getting used to the system they're trying to bring in, and also you're stopping to partake in the fiat system. Like, even if your money's held on the app in Tether or backed or Pax Gold backed coins or whatever, it's out of their hands, out of the system, and it's, whatever.
Yeah. Also, Warrior Mum, a fella sent me a picture there in Bath Avenue in Ringsend. Someone installed a Bitcoin ATM. So you just walk in, put your 20 euros in, and out comes a little receipt with a scanning code, or you could just put your phone up to the screen and scan the QR code, and then it's into your wallet. So there's I forget the name of the big one worldwide. I forget how many thousand ATMs they have around the world, but you can get a global map of them to see where your nearest Bitcoin ATM. If you just Google Bitcoin ATM, it'll show a map of where all the ATMs are. And some fella sent me a picture there the other day of one that just opened up on Bath Avenue. I presume it's the Bath Avenue in the Spar shop in Bath Avenue in Ringsend, so.
Great, thank you. So
Yeah.
are you guys saying like start to buy as soon as we can, or I mean, is there
Yeah, it's at
something?
a nice. So it came off the all-time high. It came right down, and me going back historically, it does a sort of consolidation period where it could go for a year or two, bobbling along. Now I worked it out. I work out these things, and while it was down at 10, I predicted the next all-time high would be 36, but I didn't take into account that the parabolic rise and then it comes back down. So it's bobbling along around 36 to 40 for the last 3 weeks or so, bit higher sometimes, bit lower. And see, a lot of the big fellas and the whales, they watch all these trends. So the trend, as they say, is your friend. So the more people that look at it, it will happen, because they'll all say, right, that's about where it's going to sit stable. But what no one really knows is, say, the next crisis or the continuing crisis, and there's rumors about, say, hyperinflation or everything, and then there can be a big push. Now, the big push last year was probably the stimulus checks on the Robin Hood apps in America. So everyone got, say, $1,200, 300 million people, or, well, it wasn't children get it, but just say 200 million people got that. Well, they were actually putting their savings into Bitcoin knowing the check was coming. And they're all on winner, because they got in, say, when it was climbing up, when it was 15,000, 20,000, and it went up to 60. Now, a lot of them could have cashed out and they're on a real winner,
It's very important to say that, Gobin, as well, because that's what I was saying about the tether. In 2018, there was no tether. So see the way I was there, like, you're big into the Bitcoin and you're well established in it and you've bought in over time and you're comfortable there. Where I was kind of on a more speculatory thing, I didn't like the way mine was going, and I was an altcoin that was at 280 market cap, and that's a very high risk, absolutely high risk. It'll move a lot faster than any of them at the top. So I moved mine out of that into Tether when I just didn't like the way it was going. I was expecting it to be moving up within a day or two, and it just was stagnating, and I was getting nervous, so I moved it into Tether. But that's what I'm saying about in 2018, they did not have the Tether system where your money can be in fiat. So the stagnation and the up and down choppiness went on for 4 years or whatever. This time, a lot of the money is moving out when the market goes down, when there's fear in the market and they sell it. But it's not necessarily going out of the crypto ecosystem or out of the crypto market. It's held in Tether. You know, I think Tether has a fairly high market cap, so that's something we didn't have in 2018. So yeah, it's kind of choppy now and going down. But like Gobin said there, the way the financial thing is, it could actually bounce back within a far shorter period of time. From some analysts are saying anyway. I'm not saying it will or won't, but it might not be the absolute the depth. You know what I mean? The bull market mightn't be completely dead yet. You know what I mean? But have a bit of faith. It's not like it was the last time, and there's a lot of stimmy money there been pumped into the shitty fiat currency system.
It's time for Tomasz to read his disclaimer there again.
Oh yeah, this is not financial advice. Do your own research, and these are just the opinions of the speakers, and do not represent our own Dun Lockdown voice chat. I think that's more or less the gist, unless I missed something. Not financial advice by anyone here. Not financial advice.
Right. We have I unmuted EMI. Was it?
Yeah, how's it going? Just a quick one there for you. You were talking about Bitcoin ATMs. The website is coinatmradar.com. It even shows all the ones for Ireland. It's good. The ATMs don't usually have KYC because of they're kind of they're kind of there in instant. Like you said yourself, you just scan your QR codes.
Yeah.
And you can use something like Litecoin, which will have low network fees as well, instead of using Bitcoin, which would be a little bit higher. So these are different things for the people to think about. I also wanted to say as well that I recommend, or I have used Binance myself. It's good, and I would also say Crypto.com is very good as well. So both of those are excellent to use.
Yeah, I think they're all very high standard now because there's such a big market that they have to be. The people who move away from them if they weren't pulling their weight, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
One more thing about Crypto.com as well. They sponsor one of the Formula 1 teams. I think it's what's the one that is it Lotus, or I can't remember the name of them. Yeah, they do. They sponsor one Formula 1 team.
There you go. So
yeah, so I mean they're very much even like getting into the mainstream as well, you know.
Yeah, I don't know
what I like to say about that is that they're staking on the platforms, and people say that's actually a really good thing, because if you're staking and you're earning a return, it means that the company is well funded for shocks. Because you know what I mean, they're not on a knife's edge funding wise. Because if you've 10 grand stake and a million other people have 10 grand stake, that's a well funded company, you know. But it's not financial advice either, because you know this world is so fucking mad and unpredictable. But it's as good as you'll get and well regulated. That's out there. It's probably more stable than some of the banks that's out there, in my opinion.
Can I throw in a question?
Yeah.
No, it's probably to go on there. No, this crypto.com, I mean, I'm trying to figure out in my head because it's just not sitting with me. You're saying like they give you like a debit card and you spend it and they give you money back. But I mean, how are they actually giving you money back? Where's the money coming from that they're giving you back?
Entrance
it not
into the market. So they make their money by taking a small fee for every transaction you make. So every time you buy a Bitcoin you've put your tether in or whatever, or bought your tether and then changed it, they take a little transaction fee. So they make their money that way. Plus,
I'll give you yeah, Gobin, 100% right, correct and right on that, right? But when you're buying crypto with them, you can buy it at market value. But you know the way they have these gas fees, there's transaction fees with Ethereum-backed ERC20 tokens, stuff like that. For example, I did sell some crypto tonight. I sold out the 1,500 out of, what coin was I in? It doesn't even matter what coin I was in. I just sold it out into Tether, and it cost me $25. You know, I'm not crying over it, you know, but sometimes that I don't know how much they got out of that. And also they're doing on their other, like I shared the link in there, it's their app, which is the one I'm using, but they have an exchange, and that's where if you wanted to do day trading or you wanted to use leverage, but they've only started doing leverage lately. Binance do leverage. That's a massive earner. like I said to you, that's gambling. That's worse than Paddy Power. That's electronic heroin there. If you get carried away in that, it's ridiculous. I don't recommend it. You need to be very disciplined, and you need to be not a novice, and you need to be well grounded in the market before you even look at it. And that they're probably making massive money out of that now. Is what I'm saying to you. I'm giving you how their revenue streams, you know. And then holding the cryptos, there's a lot of people staked with their native token, which is CRO, and that fluctuates like the rest of them. But yeah, it's a good. Everyone asked that question: how are they making money? Because if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. But especially now that they have that leveraged platform on their exchange, they're going to be making massive money off that. So that's a gambling racket. And apart from that, then the transactions, as I said to you, cost me 25 quid today to move mine into Tether. There is a few other ones that I can't think of. Sorry, go.
Also, they will take a tiny portion of your Bitcoin. So if you change from say Bitcoin to Litecoin, their fee is in a cryptocurrency. So they'll also have a wallet. They'll also have a wallet that's growing, and they'll need to do something with them. So they'll loan that out to people.
The main one actually, Govan, I forgot about there for a second. The main one is when my money is staked on that platform, like in the app there, my money, they have had custodian of my crypto for the last few months, because I haven't moved it into my off app wallet. Like it's still there. They give you the app, but it's not. They have absolutely no access to it. So I haven't moved my money into that. So while my money is on that main app from the link I've shared, they are custodian of it. So if I stake 10 grand on that and they're paying me 12% interest APY, and they're paying it to me every week, even if it's 100,000 and you're getting big money every week, 8% paid out weekly. They're custodian of that money. They're managing that money. They could have that money in Bitcoin for all we know and sell it at the top and make a 40. If you get what I mean, they're managing our funds. And when we take them off that into the offline or the cold wallet, whatever, the separate wallet that I have as well, they can't manage our funds anymore. You get what I mean? Like that's how they can pay, because they have management of massive funds while you leave your funds on their app.
Yeah. It's like when you put your money in the bank, they don't put it in a special drawer with your name on it. You know, they're loaning it out.
Loaning it out now is a bad way of putting it. People think, oh, you know, it's like a Ponzi scheme or something. They're not necessarily loaning it out, but like they're managing it or whatever else. I suppose.
Well, they are giving leverage and all, and they are making money.
Well, the leverage is the new thing. Yeah, that's new.
They do make big money on that, you know, because
that's new revenue stream. There's massive money in that for them. Yeah, because everyone loses in it. Just tell everyone there, and it is worse than a drug. Like I'm telling you from experience, it just.
I know. Like if you look at the trends as well, you'll see a lull for a couple of years, and then another. So then a whole new batch of people get introduced to it, and a financial crisis drives them into it, and they're all euphoric, and so it goes up, goes down. Some win, some lose.
And you've got Elon Musk, and you've got a lot of, like this time with the Tether, and the money has actually been kept within the crypto market, a lot of it. I don't think it's going to go down the way it did for the length of time it did the last time. And you've got the NFT thing is massive. Like we haven't started, I've seen like Snoop Dogg involved in it. There's loads. It's just really going mainstream. But I just don't think it's going. I hope it's not going to completely. Dars hasn't completely fell out of it. But at the minute, it's not. You know, cocktails and.
Here's the thing a fella told me today. It's not financial advice, and it's nothing to do with cryptos, but there's a Chinese company called NIO, N-I-O. They're around $40 now. But this fella reckons they're going to be the next Tesla, because they're doing the interchangeable batteries on the electric cars. So the problem was always going to be that if you ran out of electricity in your electric car, you'd have to spend a half an hour charging it up. If you got to a petrol or a service station now, if you're stuck on the road, you're fucked. But if you have an interchangeable battery and you're running low, you can pull into the nearest station, slide out one, slide in the other, and off you go. And this company, NIO, this fella, it's not advice. He just says it's one to look at. So there you all go. Have a look at it. Not advice.
I wanted to jump in and just give my little Pokemon blockchain pitch shortly. I'll try to keep it short enough, but the game's called Axie Infinity. They've been going for maybe 2 years. They survived the bear market, as a company, kind of. But anyway, that's too much backstory. Basically, a Pokemon-inspired blockchain game. And the key word here is that NFT, non-fungible token, where I think we were talking about how it could be used for cars and whatnot. They're called Axies, but I'll just refer to them as Pokemon just for kind of get your heads around it. And one other thing that kind of kicked this off or inspired it, you may have heard it at one point, I was unaware of it, but it was something called Crypto Kitties. Because there's a lot of these NFTs, people sell art that could be potentially valuable or other pieces. And, the question is like, how do I know that this little digital picture or whatever it is, how do I know it's worth, 2,000 euros, in Ethereum or whatever it is? And the problem with CryptoKitties at the time was inflation. So basically, I never played CryptoKitties, but basically you would buy 2 kittens or cats or whatever for the pennies on the dollar, but we'll just say €1. So you €2 investment, you buy your 2 crypto kitties, and then you could breed them. And the problem that they didn't foresee was that you could just breed as many as you wanted, very similar to just printing money. And I never played CryptoKitties, but the key of that would have been, to try and be a good breeder, try and breed a cute kitty that someone would go, oh, geez, yeah, I'll pay €5 for that kitty. But again, people could just buy that cute kitty and print it, and it would deflate to nothing. Like there'd be 1 million kittens printed overnight. That's just going to give you a little bit of background to this game, Axie Infinity. Again, I'll just call them Pokemon, but they're actually Axies. So and why this is kind of cool or important, it's like, what is he talking about? All this stuff. They're trying to kind of kickstart or entrepreneur this idea of play to earn. And, it's something kind of to wrap your head around. It's like, wait, what? I play this game. What is it? Just think back to kids playing Pokemon on their lunch break. You'd have your Game Boy, you'd connect it to the other guys, and you'd have a battle. And in this kind of Axie world, your 3 Pokemon will say battle your the opponent's 3 Pokemon. You pick your 3. You could own, let's say, 100 Pokemon, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to battle Gavon here now. And he's only just gotten into it, but I've owned 100 of them. I'm going to pick my 3 best ones, and they're actually quite valuable. There's even like a professional gamer side of this. Think of a tournament, where there'd be a cash prize pool, but that's separate. It's like, well, I'm never going to be a professional gamer. I don't have interest in that. So the play to earn, and I'll try to keep it short. But I gave you the little pitch there on the kitten things, that you could just print them to infinity. That there was no cost, there was no input to creating this NFT. NFT being like the card that you own, but in this case it's a Pokemon. So my 3 Pokemon are each one of them are NFTs. They're on the blockchain. There's a history of transactions there. You could look at this NFT, this Pokemon, and go, oh, last week Gobon owned it and he sold it for €10. And
There's
then
a good example of that, Tom, is that you can now, which is a game changer completely. Like, say if you wrote a book and you created it as an NFT, like that's a smart contract. Basically now for the rest of infinity, when that NFT is sold online, you could have it pre-programmed that every time that book is sold online, you get 10% royalty of that to infinity, forever and ever and ever. So that could be a painting, it could be a book. A book is probably a better example, or a movie or something like that. But literally, you could have a royalty on that from now to infinity. Like, it really is a game changer, and it's going to bring the value to artists back to music and back to stuff like that. Because sorry, go on there, Tom.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. The royalty really comes in for the artist, the photographer. If there's any photographers here, I think I know of one. But yeah, you'd get the cumulative royalty. But I just want to wrap up this little Pokemon little pitch there. Where the question you're asking yourself is, wait, how do I earn this cryptocurrency in game? It's called small love potions. They were selling at 0.2 cent, but now they're selling at 15 cent, and you earn 8 of them. Let's say you're earning 50 cent per win of a battle, 3v3 kind of thing. And you're kind of asking yourself, okay, well, who sets the value on this small love potion thing? I don't care about this in-game cryptocurrency. Who's going to buy my silly little small love potion? Well, they're called smooth love potions now, but it's a different thing. And well, I would. I'm a Axie breeder. I don't really play the game that much. I don't have the time for it, but I own a few, and I have unique genes. I won't get into the nuance of it, but let's say someone else has been playing the game for the last week or a month or whatever. They've been playing away, and they've earned 1,000 small love potions. And I was like, okay, I'll give you 50 euros or 100 euros for those 1,000 small love potions, because I'm going to take those. They're no use to you, but let's say you're someone in Vietnam or a smaller country playing away this game. You can cash out that small love potion once I've given you the Ethereum for it, and go buy food for your family just for playing a game. That's incredible. But I take that small love potion, and that's my cost to make another NFT, to make another Pokemon that someone else can then go and buy and play the game. And let's say they're not just in it to earn money, they just think they're cute little Pokemon, similar to art. They're like, I really like that Pokemon. And then someone else could come in and go, oh, that's a bad Pokemon, that would never win a fight or whatever. You're like, I don't care. That's just a really cute Pokemon. I really want to own it, and it'll be mine forever. That's what I'm trying to describe there is a market, an emerging market. And I think Go on had pointed on it at one point that if some company could crack the gaming market in blockchain, that they'd be onto a winner. And this is it. Like, there's many digital land kind of games coming out now, but at the core of all of these, you need a really strong community, and that's what this game has. There's lots of great content producers. They love the game. But I'll wrap it up there and kind of open up the questions. But the game's going to be huge. It's
the gaming system is about twice the size of the film industry now. It's huge, and like this fellas get paid to analyze them or to play them on YouTube. It's madness. Like the interest in it, and they will pay. And to have a cryptocurrency that pays people to play them it'll be a huge thing. So whatever one that is, and the transaction fees have to be very, very small.
Oh, so can I just jump in on that? So I could talk about this game for hours. For the last 2 years, they had to do all these transactions on Ethereum, and they suffer all the gas prices, just the cost of doing a transaction. I want to buy my Pokemon, and at the time I want to buy it, it's going to cost me 10 euros to do that transaction, regardless of the price. That's the kind of the gas prices. That's just the cost of doing a transaction. So very recently, Axie Infinity finally successfully launched their own side chain. It's called Ronin, and it's no easy feat. That they didn't rush it. The gamers and everyone was like, "When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?" But it happened very recently, and they were just testing the shit out of it, making sure it's solid. And one little kind of interesting kind of tidbit, this is kind of how you're onto a winner, is just within their Discord. That's where the community lives, in Discord. But they posted, it's like, whoa, Twitter banned our Axie Infinity account by accident, so communist Twitter are scared of Axie Infinity because it's a real community. It's larger than a country now at this point. And yeah, I'll finish it there. But Axie Infinity, check it out. I'll post it in the main chat. And even if you have kids, if you want to give money to your kids and let them learn about how to make a good investment and play a game and not worry about everything in the world, that's also a viable thing.
Go. Hugh had his hand up there.
Yeah, how yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying there. I'm just I'm kind of interested in how all this will affect the music industry. I just wonder if any can
Yeah, I
point me in
think
the right
Gavin
direction to
just
find out
Gavin
more about
sort of
that.
hit on that with the tokens. So literally, you'll buy a record with their token, and they get paid into it. You know.
With the NFT, it's an NFT then basically.
Yeah, I think isn't that right, Gavin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can create an NFT with pre-programmed conditions to be met. Like, I'm not saying like you're wondering like if you want to sell 1 million records and you can't have, you know, basically yeah, but it gives you title ownership. Like before, you'd have a physical CD in your hand or a record. Now you have nothing. You're just downloading a digital thing, or you're stealing the music or whatever the hell you're doing. But now, if you want to support your guy or whatever, you'll be able to get the NFT. And some of the NFTs are tied to crypto as well. So they're actually, it's not just a digital picture you're getting a certain amount of Ethereum backed to it at that market value. And you're probably paying a surplus then because you want the novelty or the rareability of it, or that it's the music, the song that you like, or whatever else. But yeah, it's really
Yeah.
going to affect that market.
Yeah, but say if you had if you had a tune, you just wanted to sell it, then how would you go about doing it? Like, would you have to go through another company or something so that they'll turn it into an NFT?
I think it's
rare,
rarible, is it, or rari? It's called. It's actually it's on the cryptocurrency exchange as well as the token, rari token. You can go in there and create NFTs. You know, pretty much like creating a shop on Shopify or something like that. I'm not saying that's the way to go about it, or anything like that. I know Crypto.com have an NFT market only opened up, and there's ways of putting them onto that. And there's different companies. You know, rari.
I just jump in here because someone was asking a question as well. What wallets would you use? And just so there's one called MetaMask, and this is specifically for Ethereum. And most NFTs, I could be wrong, there's other ones on different chains, but they're mostly on the Ethereum network. Now you can buy and sell NFTs. The one I was talking about, you'd mainly do it through that Axie Infinity website, but you can buy them elsewhere too. And what I'm trying to highlight there is you're saying with the music. So I'll go back to your music case. So let's say I go onto this Rarible website. I'm using my MetaMask wallet, and I buy, this album or song or whatever it is. And now I've bought it off that website. It's tied to my MetaMask wallet. And let's say I lose my phone in the morning or my laptop where I had my MetaMask, but I've written down my seed phrase password. So I get my new laptop or whatever, I enter my seed phrase, and now open up MetaMask, and my music, my NFT is still tied to that wallet, And let's say
the benefit that you can sell it on, like, you know, the way now if you download a game onto your Xbox or whatever, like to like Call of Duty or whatever, you can't sell it on. That's why people were giving out about them shutting down GameStop and places like that. It's like you don't have a physical copy. It's like, you know, I'm giving my money 100 quid and I'm downloading a game, and at least you'd be able to trade it back. Back in the day, you could trade it back to the store, you could sell it to your friend, you could do what you like. NFTs is kind of going to bring that back in a sense.
That's just the last point I was just gonna make there as well. So I've booted up my new laptop. I can see that on my MetaMask on my new laptop that I still own that album, let's say. And let's say, for example, that website that I bought the music album off, Rarible or OpenSea or whatever it is, let's say they've been taken down, that the globalists have taken down all the NFT websites. I can still go to another person and they say, hey, I've got a MetaMask wallet too. Here's my address, you can send it to me. And, you're just doing that over text, or let's say you're going old school and you're sending messages by birds, but it's still doable. So I just go, okay, I have my album on my wallet and I'm going to send it to Gavon, and he'll send me Ethereum back. That would be like kind of a gentleman's agreement where someone could scam you out. But I'm just kind of trying to highlight how the technology is kind of there.
I just thought there, Tom, when you're saying that, it's good just to recap on it. Like, the game changer things that's coming with this is that data is money. There's nothing free in this world. So when you sign up to Facebook, you are the product. They're getting your data or whatever else. There's companies like, for example, everyone should download it, Brave browser. And that means Brave, what they could do for you is instead of Google getting all that ad revenue, you can pick the frequency of your ads and they pay you in BAT token, BAT. It's called Basic Attention Token. So there's a complete one. You have DuckDuckGo, kind of DuckDuckGo built into the browser of Brave if you want. So then you're off Google. You set the frequency of your ads. Mine is on high because it's not that intrusive, and I'm earning money for my own ads. Instead of Google getting the money, I'm getting the money. Now I've got $10 or something built up over the last 6 or 7 months. It's not game life changing money, but it's money off the man that they're not getting out off me anymore. And like I said about the Odyssey video, they pay you in the token. So they pay you per view in that crypto token, and they you can contribute to your favorite whoever producers with that token. So there's just there's 3 use cases of kind of where it's going.
And would like sites like Rarible, would they take a cut then if you sell something on it or buy something on it?
About that, Tom, I haven't gone into it. Me and Tom were looking at them there a while ago, because there is companies sprouting up now, like I said, about digitalizing houses and land, and we were looking at trying to get land together for the group and whatever. You know the way things are going, and that's where everything is going. That's what I meant to say as well. That every deed for house and all of that will be going on to these NFTs. Like that's what it's changing. It's changing deeds and ownership rights and all that kind of thing.
We might just put a hard stop on it here and move the voice chat, or move this back, end the recording and move back to the main voice chat.
Just see if there are any more questions there quick, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, well, we can still let it spill over onto the other one, but more everyone will have the chance to change it, or that's probably it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, just is everyone happy then? Is there any more questions then, and we can shoot across or then and close off the recording fairly. I think we hit all the points on it.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll close it down, and someone has their hand up there, Brenda. Go on, Brenda.
Just quickly, I'm very confused, I have to say. I'd love to know about all of this in a simpler way.
Yeah, it's
a pain in my head.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're so used to cash and
yeah,
it's.
Well, if anyone wants to have it, like talk about it, we can talk about it. Like you can message me or Gobin or whatever, and we'll go through it. It's simplified with them apps and the card, and that it can be really basic. It's just that the technology goes into so many different industries, but that's not what we're talking. Really, to just start putting in a bit to save in it, not even to be speculating, or just to get abreast of the technology.
And you'll get
we can help you with that with the app there. There's, you know what I mean. Even if you didn't put any money in and you just downloaded the app and you just had a look through it, and we jumped in a chat or something one night and we discussed it, we can do that, and there'll be no money in it, and you just kind of get a feel for it and that. Crypto.com I'm using because it's user friendly and it's just
it's an app on your phone.
handy. The link is in the group. We'll share it in again, and we can chat about it some night. You don't even have to put money into it, but it is simple. I know we went into gaming and stuff like that, but no, you can simplify it down to like it'll be like using Revolut for one of them, you know.
Use that either. I know. My son uses that. All the young people use that. So anyway, okay, that's grand. Thanks.
Really not that hard. Don't be afraid. Anyway, it's not that hard to get into them. It is basic enough. But don't be worrying about it all. You know, if everyone will have to be able to use it in the future. That's the plan of the governments and that. It's not that hard to work out.
Gig is a gig.
Thanks.
Yeah. Giggy.
Sorry, Gobin, what was that?
Down at the bottom there, I unmuted Giggy's mic. They had their hand up. They're at the bottom there. No, must have been my mistake. So we can we'll probably wrap it up now and just go over to the normal page.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for coming on and listening to us. I hope you got some value out of it all. and we'll talk to you over on the other page.
Yeah. And
That was
then
really
Tom can
amazing,
read out his
guys. Thank you.
disclaimer at the finisher. It's not financial advice.
Are you going to do another one of these things, or?
We might do one, sure. We'll see how we.
Yeah,
go with feedback.
we could do one every so often, yeah. And
Right, cool, yeah.
why not, yeah. How do
Thanks
we
very
finish
much,
the
guys. This was great.
good? Thanks.
Thanks, Warrior, man. Thanks a million. Had someone jumped over and opened the other chat, guys? Just
Yeah, I
have
think
it
so.
open first on. Perfect.
How do we save the recording, PJ?